Thank you very much for performing. That was absolutely beautiful. We all wish you could listen to you instead of listen to us, but we do need to start our meeting. So we're going to ask one more round of applause, please, to this wonderful mariachi. Recognition momentarily during our announcements. Thank you.
Before Mayor Parker calls the meeting to order, we ask that you all please turn off all electronic devices. For those of you who requested to speak at the council meeting, there are 2 podiums in the chamber. The podium in the back is for individuals with mobility concerns. We ask all others to step forward to the front podium. Each speaker will be given 3 minutes, to speak on the items. If you registered on consent items, they will be taken following any announcements being pulled from the consent agenda. Speakers registered on non-consent items other than public hearing and zoning cases will be taken following council announcements. Before you begin your comments, please state your name and thank you.
Thank you, Jeanette. Okay, Fort Worth, we have a very special guest tonight. This is Miss Avery Wright, and I plucked her from the audience because I thought she should be mayor for a day. What do we think? Yeah? Okay. So Avery has a very important job. This is your gavel, okay? This is, well, you're going to hit it, and we're going to, on count of 3, you're going to call us to order, okay? 1, 2, 3. Now say, I call this meeting to order.
I call this meeting to order.
Excellent. Well done, Avery. Thank you so much. Welcome to your Fort Worth City Council meeting. I'll turn it back over to Jeanette to get us started.
Great. Tonight's invocation will be by Bishop Kevin Dickerson from Dayspring Family Church. Please rise for the invocation and remain standing for the pledges of allegiance.
Let us pray. Almighty God, we come before you today with hearts filled with gratitude for the opportunity to serve the people of Fort Worth. We ask your presence and guidance as the council convenes to discuss the matters at hand for our city. In your holy word, you've called us to pray for those that are in authority, and we're grateful that you are using these very authorities to promote peace, fairness, and justice for us. This evening, we pray for the leadership of the city of Fort Worth, Mayor Parker, city manager, and our council members. Grant wisdom and clarity and discernment to each member of this council as they deliberate on the decisions that will impact our community. Help them lead with integrity, fairness, and compassion, always keeping the well-being of all citizens in mind. Inspire us all to seek unity and understanding, even in the midst of diverse opinions and perspectives. Let every word spoken and every action taken today reflect a spirit of service and commitment to the greater good. We lift up the city of Fort Worth and its people, asking for your protection and blessing upon all who live and work here. May peace and justice and prosperity abound in our neighborhoods, our businesses, and public places. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Mayor and Council, our first items will be special presentations, with the first one being a recognition for the Fort Worth chapter of the Lynx Incorporated.
Thank you, Jeanette. And I know our Mayor Pro Tem Gina Bivens is very excited to present this recognition.
Absolutely. And once the presentation takes place, we're going to gather for a photo, and we invite all of you who are able-bodied to come down and join us. Right now, I'd like for the president, Mrs. Kristen Benson to join me, and the mayor for the day as well. Where's
Avery, that's you.
Come on, Avery. Oh, they gave me a big print version. Whereas established in 1960 under the leadership of the Links Incorporated, the Fort Worth chapter of the Links Incorporated has proudly been at the forefront of addressing critical needs in Fort Worth and surrounding communities. And whereas the Fort Worth chapter of the Links Incorporated is a volunteer service group comprised of many distinguished women, as you can see, if you're looking at green, you're looking at a link. And Elizabeth, you wear green all the time. We'll take you in. Whereas members devote their time, resources, or money and support to youth, arts, national and international trends, and health and human services projects, driving positive change and addressing needs. And whereas this chapter has partnered with local schools and organizations to provide scholarships, mentorship programs, and hands-on learning experiences that embrace STEM and Mayor reading programs as well. And whereas the Fort Worth chapter is supportive of any and all initiatives that help all children achieve that status of reading at grade level, and now therefore, the city of Fort Worth celebrates and proudly recognizes the contributions made by the Fort Worth chapter of the Links Incorporated with the 65th year of friendship and service to Tarrant County. It has the official seal. I think this is my seal. No, it's a city, but it's signed by me, Mayor Pro Tem Gina Bivens. I am a proud member of the Links, and I invite all Links to join us in the well. That's right where I am. Y'all get up. Don't act like you didn't know you were coming here. And those of you up there as well, Pastor Nettles did say if he had known green was the color, he would have worn green. So come on down, Reverend. We're going to take a picture, prepare for that, but then we're going to have comments from the president. Look, where's the mayor?
Right here. She's coming.
Oh, no. Okay.
All right, beautiful ladies, if I can just squeeze in just a little bit.
You hold it. Okay.
Hi, ladies. I still have your hat.
You still got the hat.
I do. First ladies.
Can we switch places? Yeah, we're gonna just.
You come right in front of me.
Yep.
So we can actually see your
There we go. We want to see your lovely face.
That better?
All right, everybody.
Okay.
Okay, everybody. Look at this digital camera right here.
Can't see her, so she can't see
Right
me.
here, this camera. I can't see her.
We got right here. We're gonna need this. These beautiful faces.
I can see you. We can see your face. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Okay. Okay, one more for social media here. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you all.
Thank you all very much. Thank you.
Thank you for making it.
Microphone.
Thank you.
Madam President.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor Parker, Mayor Pro Tem Bivens, and esteemed City Council members. The Fort Worth, Texas chapter of the Links Incorporated is delighted to receive the proclamation and honor. Women-powered, mission-driven. It is an honor to address you on behalf of our chapter members of over 50 remarkable women. The Fort Worth, Texas chapter of the Links Incorporated is an organization of women whose mission is Friends Transforming Community Through Service. We love the Fort Worth community. The Links Incorporated is a national organization of over 17,000 members in 300 chapters. We are led by our national president, the very distinguished Ethel Isaac Williams, Esquire. Our chapter was chartered on December 5th, 1959 by a group of 10 visionary and determined women: Hortense Burnett Chapman, Viola Borders, Ethelyn Maynard Burnett, Mutel Flint, Marie Norris Brooks, Sybil Bird, May Pearl Holly Flint, Marie Scott Platt, Ruby Williamson, and Zelma Basie Woodard. The group was established with a vision of serving and improving the community. our chapter has invested philanthropically at least $500,000 to a wide variety of city institutions, among them Jubilee Theater, Casa Manana, Carter Blood Bank, Bass Performance Hall, and the Stop 6 Community Health Center. Through 6.5 decades, we have diligently and intentionally attended to the needs of our community while simultaneously empowering each other to embrace our inherent friendship and leadership potential. Our membership is a collective of diverse women who embody various roles in Fort Worth, such as city leaders, advocates, philanthropists, and change makers, all united in our shared goal of fortifying the health and well-being of children and families residing in Tarrant County. We are also supported by spouses who are recognized as connecting links. In reflection upon our rich history, we cast our gaze towards the future. STEM now and into the future. This summer, our chapter won first place in the umbrella programming category at our National Assembly for our Super Saturday gathering that promotes science, technology, engineering, and math. The dynamic program is for students in 3rd through 12th grade who meet several times a year and interact with professionals in the STEM field. We're also concerned about literacy and have established a literacy lab at Super Saturday. Today is National Voter Registration Day. We support voter education for all. In our National Trends and Services facet, led by Ms. Valerie Baston, we advocate for stewardship in city government. Please accept our profound gratitude for this recognition. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Our next will be recognition for Recovery Month.
Councilmember Beck, I believe, is presenting this recognition for Recovery Month. As she's going down to the podium, I know the ladies from Lynx may have other things this evening. We just wanted to say thank you so much for showing up in your beautiful green and doing so much for the Fort Worth community. You don't have to leave. We'd love for you to stay. But just know we understand if you have other things going on. But thank you very much for coming. Councilmember Beck?
Thank you. September is National Recovery Month, and we have with us here at the podium some special folks, a City of Fort Worth employee and a future City of Fort Worth employee as we bring on MedStar that have really worked tirelessly in this effort. So I'm going to read this special recognition, and then I'm going to open the floor to them to really tell you about what we do here at the City of Fort Worth when it comes to drug addiction. Okay, whereas Recovery Month is a national observance held every September to promote new treatments and recovery practices, the nation's resilient recovery community, and dedicated service providers. And whereas in 2022, 358 lives were lost in Tarrant County and 107,000 nationally due to overdose. And whereas opioids are the leading cause of drug overdoses in the United States, and vital techniques such as administering Narcan have been proven to be effective in saving lives. And whereas recognizing the signs of substance abuse, implementing preventative measures, and guiding those in need of assistance to service providers is essential to combating the opiate and overdose crisis. And whereas the recovery process transforms not only the lives of individuals in recovery, but also their family, friends, and others who support them. Whereas Fort Worth recognizes the resilience, the determination, and contributions of the recovery community and will continue to support the fight against substance use disorder. Now, therefore, the City of Fort Worth does hereby proclaim September Recovery Month. All right. There you go. Thank you.
So I'm gathered here with Matt Willens from MedStar. I'm Lieutenant Sam Graf, Fort Worth Fire Department. This has been an initiative that we've been trying to get kicked off for about 5 years now. We appreciate the city's support on this. We do anything from Narcan training and awareness to teaching hands-on CPR through not only our community centers, but also to the unsheltered population. And we work a lot with Recovery Resource Council and many other stakeholders to make this possible.
Appreciate this. We've been working really hard to get to where we are, and it's only going to be the start of this as we join departments and move forward. It's going to be great.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And then I will give welcome.
Next will be recognition for the national champion PBR team, the Texas Rattlers.
Thank you, and I'll turn to Councilmember Flores first. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a rattlesnake in the house, but I promise there's a good reason why. Yes. Carlos, the floor is yours.
All right. It's kind of lonely up here. Here you go. Come on.
Oh.
Watch your step. Everybody keep an eye on that rattlesnake, see if he's not going to bite me. All right, y'all. Mayor and council, thank you for taking this opportunity here to recognize one of our cherished and very well-respected professional sports teams here, the Fort Worth Rattlers. They exemplify the spirit and grit in Fort Worth in this fast-paced world of professional bull riding. So they have shown competitive excellence. They compete at the highest level, and I've seen it before with my own eyes. They elevate that sport and put Fort Worth on the map in the national stage. They also carry our cultural legacy. Fort Worth has a great history in bull riding, and the Rattlers take that tradition very seriously and carry it forward, even in our modern western town. And they do very well in fan engagement. Rattlers foster a strong connection with their fan base and offer unique opportunities for community involvement. That's very important to us. They have also demonstrated great economic impact for our city, and they continue to do so by hosting team events. They contribute to the local economy, drawing tourists and creating jobs in the process. In team spirit, what would a sports organization be without spirit? Rattlers have it, and they have it in bucket loads. So they have a great fan following, and the fans show unity and support for these athletes because they do compete against the best of the best. So, let me get this out of its protective wrapping and present to you special recognition, whereas the area Texas Rattlers are the reigning champions of the Professional Bull Riders PBR Team Series, based in Fort Worth, Texas, the first to deliver a pro sports championship for the city, whereas the area Texas Rattlers were the first founding team in the PBR Team Series and chose Fort Worth as their home. Whereas the Rattlers are led by rodeo legend and Hall of Famer Cody Lambert, who won the very first PBR event in Cowtown Coliseum. And whereas Fort Worth is the only PBR team to remain undefeated on the home dirt, and whereas the Rattlers bull riding action claim the end of September as Rattlers Day, bringing visitors and rallying locals around the 2024 Camping Team World Series with 3 days of rallies, food, competitions, parades, 3 nights of bull riding in Dickies Arena and Cowtown Coliseum. This is the last whereas. Whereas our team ownership includes Leonard Firestone, our former city council member for District 7 and Texas Whiskey co-founder, and the franchise is led by General Manager Chad Blankenship, and the 2023 PBR Team's Executive of the Year. Now, therefore, the city of Fort Worth does hereby proclaim September 26th through September 28th as Rattlers Day. So, on behalf of the mayor and council, we present this to you.
Sure. Hi, I'm Chad Blankenship on behalf of the Area Texas Rattlers Ownership Group and Organization. We're so grateful. We're really grateful to the entire city for embracing us as Fort Worth's professional sports team. We're thrilled to bring a championship to the town. Councilman Flores spoke to this for a moment, but you know, being a Western sports athlete, a cowboy and a cowgirl, you're making a conscious choice to live by a certain set of values, and we take that very seriously day to day. The exampleship that we provide for our young people in this community. So again, we're very grateful for our support. One of our owners, former Councilman Firestone, has a few additional words and a special presentation.
Good evening, everyone. Nice to see you. Nice to be on this side of the podium, I think. I'm very relaxed, but it is wonderful to see so many good friends at City Hall, and so just personally, it's nice to be here. But quickly, because I know you got an agenda here this evening, I would just reiterate what Chad mentioned, that we're so proud The organization is so proud of what we've been able to do in just a few short years in Fort Worth. And we're building a great organization, we're creating some jobs, and we're growing. And that's what you want to do as a professional franchise in a city, and we're very proud of that. The only thing I'm probably more proud of is now I've gone from, coast to coast, city to city in our events, and we are welcomed at every event as the world champions from Fort Worth, Texas. And that's awfully special. So we thank you. So with that, we just have a little commemorative trophy here for the mayor to celebrate that success and championship. Thanks, man. It's always great seeing you get those words. It's great. That's how we can.
Our next item will be recognition for National Hispanic Heritage Month in Fort Worth.
Councilmember Flores, is this one yours as well, correct? Okay. Andy.
Once again, Mayor and Council, thank you for having us. It's Hispanic Heritage Month, in case you haven't heard. It starts in September 15th and runs through October 15th. Why is that important? It's important because it's that blend of cultures, the Hispanic umbrella, that really does bring a special mix, not just to this town, but to the nation. And it's worth, and I think in my humble opinion, celebrating and recognizing. Even on council, we celebrate that now that I have a colleague who is Latina, and between the two of us, we carry that proud representation with us where we go, because it is important that people see that they can relate to folks in leadership that represent them. So we've held a lot of local celebrations thus far, most recently in the stockyards and in the Gran Plaza with the traditional grito. And there's big community impact, which Estella will tell us here about shortly, of how vital it is to reach out to those Hispanic residents that are part of our local economy. The education, heritage, art, and culture speak for themselves. In the back of me, we have representatives from Artes de la Rosa, one of the city's only visual and performing arts organizations. They continue in that proud tradition. So we have a shared history. We're here to celebrate it. And Jeanette, I invite you, if you'd like to read, the recognition, please.
Be happy to. So the City of Fort Worth presents this special recognition. It reads, whereas Visita Fort Worth is partnering with the City of Fort Worth, community organizations, and local attractions like the Stockyards National Historic District, La Gran Plaza de Fort Worth, the Fort Worth Botanic Gardens, Artes de la Rosa, the National Cowgirl Museum and Hall of Fame, and Sundance Square, among others, to celebrate Hispanic Heritage Month from September 15th to October 15th, 2024. There are more than 30 events and activities scheduled throughout the month to honor and enjoy Hispanic history and cultures. And whereas we're excited to elevate and celebrate the richness of Hispanic and Latin American traditions, flavors, music, and history during this period, it is an honor to collaborate with Visita Fort Worth and the Fort Worth community to promote Hispanic Heritage Month as a citywide celebration accessible to all. And whereas Fort Worth will recognize individuals, cultural institutions, businesses, and Western heritage groups that will celebrate Hispanic heritage with a diverse calendar of events. And whereas the Hispanic population in Fort Worth continues to grow by over 35%, making it essential to acknowledge and celebrate the heritage of our residents, workers, and visitors. We invite everyone to join in honoring the vibrant cultures and traditions that contribute to making Fort Worth a wonderful place to live, work, and visit. Now, therefore, the City of Fort Worth does hereby proclaim September 15th to October 15th, 2024 as Hispanic Heritage Month. And Estela Martinez with Visita Fort Worth has a few words, and if you want to invite the group to come take a picture.
Yes. We want to thank you on behalf of all the Hispanic organizations and institutions in our city that are embracing Hispanic heritage, from the Botanic Garden to the Cowgirl to the museums. Everybody in our city has something to celebrate. And I want to invite these organizations that are so proud. Our Botanic Garden has a whole month of celebrations. We had seniors, we had kids participating, celebrating. We broke a record in the stockyards of parade participants. We gave businesses a lot of work, and we're very happy because we were able to activate West Exchange. So together we're making things better for this great community. And on behalf of all of them, I want to thank you for your support and for all the community support. And we all love Tex-Mex and Mexican food. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And please, it's a month of celebrations. Visita Fort Worth, please come and visit and see all the calendar of events. Thank you.
Thank you, Estela.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Gracias.
Our next item will be the recognition for the 20th anniversary of La Gran Plaza.
Carlos and Jeanette to also join me down at the podium as well. Okay, anyone from the amazing La Gran Plaza team is welcome to join behind me as I start to read this really special recognition in honor of the 25th anniversary, our 20th anniversary of La Gran Plaza. Whereas La Gran Plaza de Fort Worth is a vibrant landmark that has played a pivotal role in shaping the commercial, cultural, and social landscape of the city of Fort Worth, providing a center of connection and commerce to the local community. Whereas the journey of La Gran Plaza began on December 17, 1958, when Homart Development, a subsidiary of Sears Roebuck and Company, announced the creation of a regional shopping center, making the start of a visionary project that would become one of the largest shopping destinations in Texas. Whereas the site originally known as Seminary South Shopping Mall, which opened in 1962, was an open-air architectural marvel that quickly became a premier shopping destination in Texas. And whereas after challenges in the late 20th century, Grupo Zocola, under a partnership with the city of Fort Worth, revitalized the property in 2004, transforming it into La Gran Plaza de Fort Worth, a cultural and economic hub designed with Spanish colonial architecture that serves as a beacon of Fort Worth's Hispanic heritage. And whereas today, La Gran Plaza spans 80 acres and 1.2 million square feet, attracting over 5.9 million annual visitors, offering diverse shopping, dining, and entertainment experiences, while serving as a vital economic engine for Fort Worth's South Side by attracting businesses, creating jobs, and promoting economic development. And whereas 20 years after its founding, La Gran Plaza continues to serve as a community-focused center of cultural, regularly hosting cultural exhibitions, events, and celebrations that bring people together and celebrate the rich heritage of the region, making a profound impact on Fort Worth's dynamic neighborhoods. Now, therefore, the City of Fort Worth hereby proclaims April 12th, 2024, as Dia de la Gran Plaza in the City of Fort Worth. Congratulations.
Mayor, council persons, council, thank you for having us. 20 years ago, I was in this chamber. Michael Moncrief was the mayor. Wendy Davis was our council person. Robert Stearns, we began talking to Robert Stearns about our vision for La Gran Plaza. And I'm really happy to say that with the help of the staff, a portion of
We're
our
gonna make
staff
Robert
here-
come down. Look, there's Robert.
With the help of just a portion of our staff, because it's a big enterprise. It takes literally a lot of people with good heart, with tremendous amounts of commitment for familias, for families who come and visit us. This was a wonderful public-private partnership that took a little bit of work. Thank you, Robert. But let me tell you, we predicted 4,000 to 5,000 employees. But at that particular time, I said, it's not just the employment base, it's how many businesses can we create? Literally created thousands of new businesses in La Gran Plaza, startups. We have a mercado with incubator space for people who had no idea that they wanted to sell something. They just say, I want to own my own business. We gave them an opportunity and they opened shops. So right now at this particular moment, we have over 600 businesses at La Gran Plaza at 1.2 million. And we started with a little bit of sales, just a little portion of sales, and I think Robert can probably tell us that it was almost nothing, right? We're doing over $150 million a year. But even better, you got a lot of money. But it feeds the cultural entertainment opportunities for people who incidentally go to shop there, because it truly is just the environment that they go there for. So we're not only attracting the Hispanic community, the Hispanic familias, but we're attracting everybody. You're all welcome to come. On October 19th, we're going to have a big 20th anniversary celebration. You will absolutely enjoy it. You saw a little bit right now, but you will be totally amazed. It's incredible. So thank you, Mayor. Thank you, council people, and thank you, Robert. It's truly an honor being here with you and be a partner with you.
Mr. Legaspi, I just want to say congratulations to you and La Gran Plaza on 20 years of exceptional service to our community and to the city of Fort Worth. And congratulations also, if for those that don't know, Mr. Legaspi is going to be recognized this Saturday by the Fort Worth Hispanic Chamber of Commerce as Businessman of the Year. So congratulations for that too. Here's your very own Molly.
Actually, Robert gave me years ago. I'll take it. Yeah.
Mayor, could I add some? I wish a guy named Dick Riddell was here. In my office at my real job, I have a big picture of Dick Riddell, and he was the former president of the T, Trinity Metro, Juan Rangel, who you knew was on the school board, Moncrief, myself, and Miss Texas. What the T had done was created that transportation center, because before that center was located on the grounds, people had to walk across Seminary to do shopping, to do grocery shopping. I would see people in there with their babies in carriages, but transportation agency was such a friend to this project today. So if you ever see Dick Riddell, he's still around, tell him thank you, but I am going to make sure Richard Adreski knows the role the T, now known as Trinity Metro, played. And in that picture also was Wendy Davis, and I forget another person, but that's in my office. It was so special for us to get that transportation center on the grounds and get people out of the rain. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Our next item will be recognition for Fernando Costa.
Fernando, I'm going to join you, but I have to stand up here, or sit up here to really speak, and I'm not going to cry. I am good, darn it. No, so I think I'm emotional because there are a few people in this city that are truly remarkable and have had an indelible mark on this entire city, and you're absolutely one of those people. And I have jokingly called you our Secretary of State, our Professor Emeritus, and I do that in joke, but truly, if you want to know a piece of history, you walk down the hall and talk to Fernando and ask him, what is it about this situation that I'm not thinking about, because you've seen it before. And oftentimes just bring a level of expertise and calm to any situation. You have taken on so many very difficult tasks on behalf of the city, and you know more than we'll ever be able to learn collectively as a body, truly. And we know that you're also not going anywhere, that you will still be a very important part of this community. I know you well. You will not be very good at retirement. And constantly push all of us, and so many of us in this room that have been impacted by your mentorship and friendship. And for that, we are so incredibly thankful. And yes, we do have a beautiful plaque for Fernando, but these are words that are from my heart, and I just wanted you to know those. To my colleagues, please speak as you would like to about our friend Fernando, and then he has to give some wisdom at the end of that, please.
Thank you, Mayor.
Yes, Councilmember Nettles.
Thank you, Mayor. First, I want to say thank you, Fernando. You are truly remarkable. And I would say that one of the things that you did was mind-boggling for me is doing redistricting. It was a very hard task for this entire council, for this entire city, but you stayed true to the course. You knew what the task said, that we wanted to create an opportunity district for Hispanic. We wanted to create an opportunity for the city of Fort Worth to look like the city of Fort Worth. And when politics got into it, you was laser focused. You said, well, we can. Remind you, I remember one meeting you said, well, this is what the community asked for. You don't find too many people that would stand up against whoever to make sure that the community voice is heard. And that was very remarkable to me. I wrote down 3 words that describe you for me. It's transparent, respect, and community. And so because of you, these last 3 years serving on council, I have been able to do the best job as possible. And so I just want to say thank you, Fernando, for all the work you have done for District 8 and the entire city of Fort Worth. Thank you.
Chris.
Thank you, sir.
Councilmember Williams.
Thank you, Mayor Fernando. I just want to personally say on the record, thank you for your many years of service to the city. It's been a complete honor to be able to serve with you in so many capacities. And I've always gleaned from your wisdom. I didn't know what I was getting into, and when I got on this side, you made the transition very seamless. I really admire your approach to the work. Completely echo all the sentiments that Councilor Neto said. And also, I just really appreciate your commitment to the residents of Fort Worth, your ability to advise with courage, even when it's not popular. That's something that I always appreciated, and from the bottom of my heart, thank you. Many lives have been impacted, saved, and blessed because of the way you show up to the work. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you, Fernando.
Thanks, sir.
Yes, sir. Councilmember Beck.
Before my time here on council, when I had the opportunity to be in the planning world, you often heard the name Fernando Costa spoke as if he was this mythical person, this creature. He had so much respect throughout not just the city of Fort Worth, but this region for the work that you do and that you have done for so long. And then I had the opportunity to get to actually work with you here on council. And thank you for everything that you've done. For so long in this city, you have been a voice for people who needed a voice. You have very quietly sometimes fought fights with such fierceness that it is to be admired, a skill that I wish I'd picked up from you before you left. So thank you for everything you've done. Thank you for being that person that we can tag in when things got hard. And I think about West 7th and complicated development. And when I'm over my head, I know that I could call Fernando and he could get it done. And you are going to be greatly, greatly missed at the city. It will be a huge gap to fill when you leave. So thank you for everything you've done. And we would absolutely entertain a motion to keep you here. if you choose to do so.
Yeah. Councilmember Bivens.
I'm saddened that you're leaving. I think I probably have known you longer than anybody on the council. I remember when you arrived, and that goes back to the days of Ken Devereaux and what you brought, to this city. A lot of people know that when you really want to get to the crux of a situation or a problem or an impasse involving the city of Fort Worth, you reach out to Fernando, because he's going to know how to fix it. And I don't use the word fix it negatively, but you are and have been and will be the fixer. I never will forget, you and I were in downtown Dallas at Beck Construction headquarters, and with your loud booming voice, you yelled out, "She's going to run for council. Everybody meet Gina Bivens." And I thought, oh hell, it's out now, because it has not been announced. But I have always appreciated your wisdom. Finally, most people think your connection with City Hall with me is Stop 6, but it's so much more than that. And right now, we're moving as quickly as we can to get Woodhaven in queue so that that $17 million that had not been spent in the TIF can be put to good use for the greater good for all. And when I realized that there was money unspent, the first person I called was Fernando, because I thought about, we'll have all these meetings, public hearings, what have you. Fernando said, no, we've got a resource already just waiting. And because of you, Woodhaven and White Lake Hills and surrounding communities will be better. And that's just one of hundreds of examples that you bring to how your golden touch has impacted the city. I will miss you, but I look forward to seeing you and entertaining you on the 20th floor.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Thank you, my friend.
Councilmember Flores.
Fernando, with mixed feelings, I celebrate you today. I mean, your contributions to the city are numerous. I can't begin to count them. As Gina alluded to, she and I have known you the longest, even before my service on council and boards and commissions. Our paths intersected, and along the way, I quickly developed a deep respect for you, right? You're a very competent and knowledgeable individual, and your fellow, colleagues on staff recognize that as well. You're always a great go-to person for me. Always felt comfortable in discussing various topics with you, both simple and difficult. So again, if I haven't said it enough over the course of the years, thank you. I really appreciate what you've done for the city and helping me to be a better council member, by arming me with the necessary knowledge to act on. So again, thank you for all your help, your advice, and your humor, right? As engineers, maybe our humor is a little dry, but that's okay. At least we get it.
Thank you, Carlos.
Yeah, but much thanks.
Councilmember Blaylock.
Fernando, I just want to say it's been truly enjoyable working with you. You have been so thoughtful and generous in your approach to everything you do, and it just comes through. It's amazing. Your knowledge, your skill set, and your willingness to share information and background and history so that we can properly understand context has just been a blessing to us all. So I really want to thank you and say I've enjoyed working with you, and I wish you all the best, and I hope we see you a lot around the 20th floor as well.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. And Councilmember Hill.
Fernando, we haven't had the opportunity to work together very long, but thank you so much for your years of service. I really enjoyed getting to know you and really leaning on your words of wisdom and your experience within the city of Fort Worth. I think the first hornet's nest I walked into was 1300 Gindy Street, and you did such a great job of holding my hand and giving me the background on the project and how far you have come with that. So again, thank you so much and congratulations.
Thank you, ma'am.
Councilmember Crane.
Yeah, Fernando, I will share more with you when I am back, but I wanted to say for the last 7 years, I've been able to work with you. It's been great. When I was elected first elected in May of 21, I very quickly got to your office and said, I got a plan. Let's figure this out. And I thought it would be days or weeks before you came back. You were back in my office within a couple of hours and said, here's how we can help implement that plan. Here's what we can do. And I know that there are people in this city that are better because you've served in that position. And I thank you for your time and your service to our city. I really do. Thank you.
Thank you, Fernando. And Councilman Martinez.
Fernando, I've known you probably the least amount of time from anybody here on the dais, but I just want to say it's been an honor working with you. Thank you for your many, many years of dedication and service to the city of Fort Worth. And just know that you make the entire Latino community so very proud to see you in that role. And so I wish you nothing but the best in your future endeavors, and hopefully, there will be more lunches so I can absorb some of that knowledge. Congratulations again.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Fernando, please.
Well, thank you all for your kind recognition. I have a brief recognition of my own. My wife, Ann, is here.
Where's Ann? Hi, Ann.
She actually came here for the budget hearing and decided to stay for the presentations. But as I look upon your dais and think back to my arrival in Fort Worth, I'm mindful of two council members, the late Jim Lane and the late Clyde Peetst. Now, Ms. Bivens will attest, I'm sure, that Jim and Clyde rarely agreed on much of anything. They were polar opposites politically. But remarkably, they worked together to promote the adoption of Mali as the symbol of Fort Worth, a symbol that we display proudly front and center in the council chamber and wear proudly on our lapels. I think we would do well to follow their example. And whenever possible, set aside our minor differences, find common ground, and do what's right for this community. I know you believe in it. I know you practice it. And the community appreciates it. Thank you for your support.
Thank you, Fernando. Anne, would you like to come join us, please? There you go. You look beautiful. Thank you for coming. Thank you, Fernando. Appreciate it very much. As we're transitioning, Jason Murtaugh just reminded me, no one said anything about Fernando Costa's infectious laugh that everyone knows you by. And I always struggle when you're laughing, whether you're really laughing or you're laughing at us. He's probably laughing at us, but it's okay. Yes, absolutely.
Mayor,
Yes, ma'am.
Carol just told me he's getting the Lifetime Achievement Award this weekend with the Hispanic Chamber.
Well, that's so wonderful.
Wow. There you are. Congratulations.
Okay, Jeanette, I know I've confused you, but we're going to move into zoning hearing, correct?
Correct,
Okay.
Mayor. We have a request to move to zoning.
Thank you. So for those following along, it's on page 22 of a 28-page agenda. Our first zoning item is ZC 24-031, in Council District 6. We do have a few speakers on this item. Councilmember Williams. Our first speaker is Linda Beckman. That's okay. We'll just start. It's good. Is Linda here? Hi, Linda. Come on down.
Madam Mayor, honorable council members and staff, my name is Linda Beckman and I am the president of Panther Heights Neighborhood Association. I reside at 10217 West Rancho Diego Lane, what we would call Phase 1. I'm here today to support zoning case 24-031, the Rock Creek Data Center. This data center is proposed to be built adjacent to Panther Heights Phase 3, approximately a quarter mile southeast of our subdivision. Make no mistake, any project built around any phase of our subdivision will affect all 3 phases, albeit in different ways. There is no single phase that is more important than another in this issue. While it is an uncomfortable notion to support a building project like this when we have so few examples to compare it to, I am confident that developers have made ample conciliatory gestures, most notably the addition of a 15-acre park and walking trails west of our Phase 3, which was actually in response to a suggestion made by opposition. They have committed another 18 acres to future commercial development. Provident Realty has provided us with detailed site renderings and participated in multiple lengthy and contemptuous community meetings to show that they wish to work with us for our benefit and not for our harm. Councilmember Williams has been forthcoming and active within our community, helping us all understand why building this data center is a positive addition to our community. A project like this can be a tech incubator, connecting our schools to the data center and Tarleton to create vocational programs for future leaders of our community. I've spent time at the data centers on Alliance at 170 and Park Vista Boulevard. In the time I have spent by these buildings and their substations, there was nothing that made me feel that this would bring irreparable harm to any of my neighbors. We are experiencing rapid growth in District 6, growth that will overflow the schools and inundate our fledgling infrastructure. If we are to accommodate more school-age children, we need a project like this to help generate additional tax revenue for our schools. Technology is our future. A few of my neighbors are against building this project, as you will hear today. However, the majority that I have spoken with to directly have no opposition to the project. Therefore, on behalf of Panther Heights households who do not oppose the data center and their will, I am here to give voice to the majority of my subdivision. Based on the principles of democracy, I voice my support for zoning case 24-031, the Rock Creek Data Center. Thank you for the opportunity to speak.
Our next speaker is Travis Clegg, followed by Jorge Gonzalez-Rodiles. Travis, before you speak, for everyone that's got a sign, most everybody's okay. If you just lower it just a little bit, as long as no one behind you is blocked, you're totally fine. I appreciate y'all very much. Thank you, Travis.
Good evening, I'm Travis Clegg with Westwood Professional Services here in Fort Worth, representing the client. Before I get started, I want to take a moment and say congratulations to Fernando. I've worked 20 years with Fernando. Thank you, sir, for your service. So we're seeking approval of the PD zoning case for this data center. Due to the proximity of the site to an existing high-power transmission line, its adjacency to a major highway within a master plan community that allows mixed-use commercial, residential, multifamily, as well as being next to or across the highway from Tarleton State University. This site is highly sought after for a major data center investment. And that data center could process data for AI services, cell phone connectivity, internet storage, cloud storage, and streaming services. But what it's not is a Bitcoining operation. The proposed site would ultimately consist of 5 buildings with roughly 1.5 million square feet. On 90 of the 120 acres, we will preserve the commercial corner where NTTA will be building a bridge to completion in 2027. Beyond the commercial corner of the data center, we have proposed to set aside a space, an open space that would provide a buffer between the residential units or residential homes and the park-like amenities, trails, retention pond between us and the existing 1-acre lots to our northeast. Those residences are located roughly 1,400 feet away to the nearest home, and in comparison, Facebook is 700 feet away from existing homes up north. To date, we've had 4 HOA meetings with those properties that have been notified, including Llano Springs HOA and the Panther Heights HOA. As requested, we've created renderings of the buildings, a concept site plan, prepared landscape concept plans, open space concept plans, and proposed an MOU to address a lot of the concerns of our neighbors. We've provided answers to the HOA questions, both written and within our meetings, to address the concerns. Those answers addressed issues such as traffic, noise, heat, lighting, building height, setbacks, and again, the use of Bitcoin, which we're prohibiting on the site. While I believe we were unable to address everyone's specific concerns, we have tried to keep the conversation as open and honest as possible while making a lot of concessions along the way. We do have support from the Panther Heights HOA president, which you just heard from, support from D.R. Horton, which will be building homes directly across the street, and no opposition heard from Tarleton State University or Crowley ISD or Llano Springs HOA. So I know there'll be questions, and I'll set aside and wait for those questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Clegg. Councilman Williams.
Travis, if you'll stay there, I have a couple of questions
Yes,
for
sir.
you while you're there. First question, can you explain what impact the development will have on electrical demand, and will there be any impact on surrounding neighborhoods?
Can I let Jorge answer that? Who's
Absolutely,
the
yeah.
representative?
Please come up.
Okay.
If you'll stay with them, because I have a
Yep,
few more
I'll stand by.
questions. Yes, sir.
Thank you. Our next speaker.
Oh, wait.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Wait, he's gonna.
Oh, he's, okay.
He's gonna call up George.
Hello, my name is George, or Jorge Gonzalez Ordelis. To answer your question, it won't have any impact on the region's demand. We go through a very vigorous process with Encore to study the grid, and it's actually additive. It's a mission-critical facility. Excuse me. So it's additive, so it won't have an impact to the grid.
Excellent. Second question for either you or Travis, George. Will you explain the sophisticated building methods, cooling systems, and monitoring that will be used to address heat generated from the data center?
Yes, sir. These data centers are really big investments. One of the biggest killers of any kind of electrical equipment is heat, right? So they do have very advanced cooling systems that actually, even by the time we go and build it here in 2 years, when we get to actually that point, that technology would actually be increased and improved. The building methods are really the building materials, really how things are laid out within the facility. The height of these buildings, which has been an issue for some, is really meant to put the cooling systems in place and what we have. What was the other one? It was the.
I think you answered it. That's
okay,
good. Thank you. Another question. How much noise do you expect this data center to generate? What mitigation strategies do you have in place to control for noise generated by the data center? And what will the noise impact be on surrounding neighborhoods?
Yeah, thank you for that question. That's a common question we get with data centers and the data center development that we do really across the country. There's a lot of a lot of design that goes into noise mitigation. The generators, and there's really two main components that generate the noise, is generators and the cooling units. Really with both of those, I'll start with the generators. The generators have type 2 enclosures around the actual generators themselves. The generator yard has a 15-foot wall sound attenuating barrier that goes around the whole generator yard. And the mufflers themselves that they put on these generators are very sophisticated. They point upwards instead of outwards, so that noise is pointed up. The generators don't run the day-to-day on these data centers. These are really just for emergency backup when if there is a power outage. They're exercised depending on the operator. It could be once every 2 weeks or once a month. And they're exercised during the day. And the cooling units have similar sound abatement enclosures and also barriers on the roof, again with pointing the noise, the sound upwards. If you stand by any one of these data centers during normal operation, you really won't hear anything. They're just like any other building. You just don't hear it. We're committed to really exceeding and staying well within the noise ordinance of Fort Worth and what we have here. Particularly even with the concerns from Panther Heights, we're 1,400 feet plus just to the nearest home in Panther Heights. But even with that, the noise in that area from the highway, the gas wells nearby there are about 55 decibels. We'll be below that.
And how much below? 40, 44? What's the decibels you're anticipating?
I mean, I'd say probably the max would be 50 when they're running, when the generators are running, and that's probably a fair number.
Okay, great. A couple more. What is the EMF, and how is the EMF in modern data centers mitigated? We've also learned a lot about EMF near high tension lines. Can you explain how EMF in high tension lines is mitigated?
Yes. So EMF, it's a concern that a lot of folks have. Really, it's basically there's just an electromagnetic field, right? It's that comes with. A lot of times, folks get concerned living near high tension lines. Similar to the ones that we have at Panther Heights. The best mitigation for any kind of EMFs is distance. Keeping distance, and everything you read really comes from distance from those facilities. The reason why you have some of those big easements for power lines and such isn't just to operate those lines, but also to give a cushion in that. Again, we're set up to the highway. Our setbacks, not just from Panther Heights, but also from the future D.R. Horton development, we have significant setbacks from those facilities. That's really the best way to mitigate that. But even within the data center itself, the design of it as well has many features that help mitigate that EMF.
Excellent. One design that you didn't mention was you had mentioned during community meeting low EMF servers. Can you explain that just real briefly?
Yeah, it's just the servers themselves. There's different types of servers that come into play. So they actually come low EMF servers. They got Faraday cages. There's just the way things are structured within the layout. It helps reduce that EMF.
Great, thank you. This question is for Travis related to the Rock Creek Master Plan community. Can you tell us how many acres consists of the Rock Creek Master Plan community? How many acres have been zoned for commercial development? What transportation infrastructure improvements are being committed to in order to address traffic related to the data center? And then with the data center, how many acres are left? How many are commercial? And is this enough to meet the demand for neighborhood commercial and mixed use commercial uses as well as general uses?
Okay, I'll try to go through those.
Yep.
If I miss one, let me know. So Rock Creek is a 1,700-acre master plan community. It was done by Walton 10 years ago. It's set in a PID in South Fort Worth. It's a public improvement district. There's currently 315 acres of commercial zoning And that includes some commercial, or some mixed-use areas. So there's 63 acres of mixed use as well. If you took this site away, you would have roughly 210 acres of commercial property fronting the highway. One of those areas is actually G intensive commercial, so you can get a lot of different uses, get some building heights with G commercial. But with 210 acres, after that Walton has dedicated 80 acres to Tarleton, and after 12 acres to the fire station that they dedicated on the west side, and 40 acres of open space. So you have 210 acres is what we have. There's kind of a 20% square footage of a building per acre. So, you know, you could probably get roughly 1.5 to 1.8 million square foot of commercial development still if this data center gets approved and moves forward. So you still have quite a bit of commercial. You still have quite a bit of residential. The data center, so I'm not sure if it's an exhibit or not, but they're going to build the roads adjacent to the data center. And what we've committed to the residents of the Panther Heights HOA was to make sure all of our construction traffic would not use their neighborhood streets. Summer Creek is an issue right now. They've got cut-through traffic with existing development happening east of us. And so our promise was not to connect those streets, to not allow construction traffic. We're going to push it down to 1187. But when we do build the roads, it'll be just adjacent to the data center because there's not a lot of traffic that gets generated from a data center. I think we projected 1,500 cars max, and that's kind of an average from the ITE manual, versus F commercial, which is, if it stayed F commercial, it'd be 24,000 cars is the difference. So we're trying to reduce the traffic on the existing neighborhoods and reduce the cut-through traffic. And so we don't want to make that connection with this data center. But Walton and D.R. Horton, as they develop the rest of the 1,700 acres with residential lots, they will be making a lot of improvements to those roads, and they've been committed to working with the city to build the other half of Summer Creek Boulevard all the way up to the connection point. So we're working through that now, but they're going to have quite a bit of traffic that's going to generate enough rough proportionality to build all of those roads.
Okay, great. Hang tight there. I'm going to bring up
Did I
city
miss one?
staff. No, that's good. I'm going to bring up, have 4 more questions of city staff, just to clarify some things you said. Stay there just in case we have a follow-up question. Melinda Ramos. Hey, Melinda, thank you. The question I have is, how's the noise ordinance enforced? We heard what the developers committed to. What are the penalties? And also, what are the penalties for non-compliance?
So the noise ordinance is typically enforced by the police department, and it's enforced in 2 ways, one through decibel level, and then the other through personal complaint. The police department, when they go out there, they make a determination of whether the noise can be measured by the sound meter, in which case the decibel level applies, or in which case where they have to rely on a witness, which is usually the person, the complainant. For the noise level, it's measured by the person who's called in the complaint. So if it's coming from the residential property, it would be measured from the residential property, and the decibel level to be met during the daytime is 70 dBA, and from 10 p.m. to 7 a.m., it would be 60 dBA. The average penalty fine set is at $500 per day.
Great, thank you so much for that. Ty, I have a question for you related to infrastructure based on what Travis just said. Summer Creek is a major north-south arterial in our master thoroughfare plan. What is the plan for connecting Summer Creek to the Rock Creek development and ultimately down the Longhorn Trail?
At this time, sir, we have met with Travis and discussed the master plan. We also are looking at participation from the city monetarily with regard to the complete construction of Summer Creek all the way down.
Thank you. Just a follow-up question, somewhat related to this Cavanna Drive. You were able to assess that in terms of it making a connection to the neighborhood just north of Panther Heights, 3rd edition. Will the city, are you committed to ensuring that we don't make that connection into the neighborhood?
Yes, sir. There is a encore easement that separates the 2 developments, and it would make sense for it to remain as a cul-de-sac.
Awesome. And then last question. Fagata. Fagata has a cul-de-sac that would be impacted by Summer Creek. Are you committed to working with the neighborhood and advising them on how we could potentially maintain that cul-de-sac if the neighborhood is committed to that?
Absolutely.
Great,
Just
thank
a
you.
few issues that need to be resolved.
Exactly. Will you just explain that on the record, just really briefly?
Yes, sir. So the cul-de-sac that, for the turnaround that would connect to Summer Creek actually extends out into past their property just a little bit. And if we were to keep the cul-de-sac terminus, what would end up happening is the two property owners would need to provide us, dedicate some right-of-way, and then they would have to rebuild the turnaround.
Excellent. And that would, the neighborhood or the residents who would like the cul-de-sac would have to compensate for that, correct?
Yes, sir.
Now, if the street did make the connection to Summer Creek, based on your professional expertise, do you believe that cut-through will be an issue once Summer Creek is connected to the existing Summer Creek?
Obviously, a study would certainly confirm it, but based on my experience, no, sir, because it basically takes you all the way around and then back to the same starting point.
Okay, thank you. Two more, not for you, Chris Harder. Would you mind coming up? Really simple question. Will this data center require a water study before proceeding? If the study shows that the city cannot meet the data center's water demands, will the city allow the project to proceed?
Yeah, so as Travis mentioned, this is a 1,700-acre master plan development. There is a approved water and sewer study for the entire development. If this 120-acre tract develops in a different manner than what was projected in the actual study, then we would have require an updated study for that tract. And what was your
And then if the study shows that the city cannot meet, or that the city cannot meet the data center's water demands, will this project be able to proceed?
So we don't allow any development to connect to our system without capacity being provided.
Okay, great. That's all for you for now. And then last, Christy Ann or Brady, I'm not sure which one of you. This is my last one, I'm sorry. Second to last. Thank you, Brady. What is the projected tax revenue generated from the proposed development of this data center based on the applicant's estimate of $750 million in economic activity? And just as a follow-up, what is the projected revenue if this project invests as heavily as the Facebook data center in North Fort Worth? And then will you share where this project would rank in tax value for the city?
Absolutely. So based on the estimate of $750 million, if that was the taxable value, then the city would get annual property tax revenue of a little bit over $5 million. If you count all of the jurisdictions that have any taxing right there, it would be about $18 million. So that includes school district, Tarrant County, et cetera.
How much would the school district be?
Crowley ISD, based on their tax rate of 1.2575, would get about $9.4 million. And that would be, if not in the top 5 of properties in Fort Worth, just outside of it.
And then if they invest as heavily as Facebook Data Center, what would those numbers be?
Yes, so on a per acre basis, if they put as much into land and business personal property, then Fort Worth's annual property tax revenue would be about $12.5 million. Crowley ISD's would be $23.3 million.
Per year, correct?
Per year.
Great, thank you. The last follow-up is, you mentioned the top 5 properties in the city of Fort Worth. Some of those include American Airlines and Encore, is that correct?
That's right, yep.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yes, sir.
I believe our next speaker is Jorge Gonzalez. Do you want to speak?
I really believe we've touched on everything. I mean, the thing that we take a lot of pride in is really trying to work with the communities and address their concerns. I think we put in a lot of work in doing that the best we could. But I think everyone's really touched on everything. But if you have any additional questions, I'm here.
Thank you. Our next speaker is David Beckman, followed by Paul King.
Good evening. I'm David Beckman. I've lived in Panther Heights for about 22 years now. Seen a lot of development, a lot of changes. We started off with that first meeting, and I was actually against the data center. But I've learned a ton. The data center is the best choice for this parcel of land. And what I did was I made a list. I've got a list of things that, in talking with neighbors, friends, everybody that's been involved, and I've kind of culled out there's a number of issues that are important to our neighborhood. Those are noise, traffic, road development, and to a lesser degree, aesthetics. So when I go through my list and I make a comparison of the data center to, I think the only other available choice is the commercial that it's now zoned. It's not open space. If, you know, to get that open space, the city would have to buy it. They'd have to rezone it. They'd have to pay for that. And I don't see that as being an option. So to me, it boils down to either this is a data center or it's going to go to a commercial mixed-use development. So on the first issue of noise, we looked at that data center that's up north on 170. And the first thing that struck us when we got out of the car was, what's the big deal? It's quiet. We could hear the traffic off 170, but we could not hear the data center. When we got closer to it, maybe 300 feet away, Linda had a dB meter on her phone. She measured it. I think we're at 33 or 38 dB, and we're just like, no, noise is not an issue. I know what it's like in a commercial development where we have restaurants, we have retail shops. I know that noise level. And so for me, the win comes over to the data center side, actually on the noise. When I move to traffic, our neighborhood's already suffering from cut-through traffic and has been for several years. 1,500 cars a day for the data center versus 24,000 for the commercial. I don't like traffic. I've seen how it's destroyed our neighborhood and how it's compromised people's safety. So that win also comes over to the data center side. Road development, the developer's going to work with us. They're going to keep the construction traffic out of our neighborhood. That's huge. That adds value.
Thank you, Mr. Beckman. I'm sorry your time has expired.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Paul King, followed by Kevin Schwan.
Mayor Parker, members of the council, I'm Paul King, 5533 Fogata Lane. I wrote 3 or 4 speeches to give tonight. They were all about 10 minutes long, so I tore them up, and I'm just going to speak from my heart. I believe that when you want the best legal representation, what you do is you hire a good lawyer, but the most important thing is the second step. You follow the lawyer's advice. I believe the same thing is true in planning. You have a good strategic plan, and then you follow it when temptation comes along. Now, I bought into Jared Williams' vision of what was to go into this area. And I recognize, we just heard from Travis, that there will still be some commercial space, but it's peripheral. This area is central to the Rock Creek area. And he was talking about something, you know, akin to one of the really nice areas in Fort Worth that would bring people in so that they didn't have to drive for miles and miles to get to a nice area. Maybe even pull people up south along the expressway to visit, to have a meal at a nice restaurant, to go visit the new park and see what the tall grass Texas prairie was like. I bought into that. I think it's a great idea. And if you don't do that, take a look at your map, and what you will see is you have residential area after residential area, and then Tarleton, and residential area after residential area around this. And these are high density. You remember from last city council meeting, 0 lot homes, and they're going to be on top of each other, and they'll have to drive for miles and miles to get anywhere. I think what's going to happen is those are not going to be as desirable. you may be building blight. Now, I understand the attraction of having lots of tax revenue. There are lots of things you could do with that. I get that. But I believe that you have to be guided by a primary value. And I think Mayor Parker expressed it really well when she said, I don't do what I do for me. I do it for my children and for my grandchildren and creating a better Fort Worth for them. And I think everyone seated up here has the same basic value. We do what we do for the future. So I'm going to ask you for a moment to close your eyes. There are police in the room, they never blink. I'm not a pickpocket. Close your eyes for a moment. Imagine that you are at the convention center, and seated out in front of you are thousands, not 100, but thousands of people. Some of them haven't even been born yet. These are all the future residents of this area, 10, 20 years from now. And ask yourself honestly, in their mind, what's going to be for their best? Is it going to be having a great retail area, a community which has to consist of more than just houses? Or is it going to be faster internet and chat GPT so that they can have it write Dr. King's essay questions for them?
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Our next speaker is Kevin Swan. Thank you. Followed by Michael Slimmer.
Good evening, Mayor, council members, citizens viewing online, esteemed guests in the audience here. I'm co-founder and board member of an organization called Neighbors Working Together Fort Worth Crowley. It's an organization working towards ensuring a harmonious growth plan for neighborhoods. As you've heard, Panther Heights, it's a small community, about 212 homes, 220 homes, 1 acre lots. It's very serene. Neighbors go walking down the street, kids go playing in the streets, what have you. This is going to bring in a industrial facility into what's zoned as a PDF commercial. Okay, the data center is zoned as a industrial facility. That's per city code. So I implore you to, should not, cannot, must not be approved for the following reasons. Zoning staff report, denied, incompatible, non-consistent, denial. Zoning commission recommendation, denial. Height is intrusive. You've heard a couple of people talk about that. It's 105 feet from a 45 feet. So basically you can stack 7 15-foot homes on top of each other to kind of give you a visual of what 105 feet looks like. Excessive energy consumption, I just learned the other day that there's going to be 335 megawatts, 67 megawatts per building consumed. ERCOT estimates that 1 megawatt will power about 200 homes. So that means it's going to take, it'll power about 13,400 homes if you assume the 200. There's another estimate out there that says 670 homes for 1 megawatt, which will be over 200,000 homes. Loudoun County is the data center alley over in DC. So that's where some of this reference came from. Excessive water usage. We already live with restrictions, water restrictions. This data center is going to take 35,000 gallons per day if it's air cooled. If it's water cooled, it's going to be 80,000 gallons per day. Are we willing to give up that water? We already are under water restrictions. The heat generation, just a side note, expelled heat from a data center in Parrish was used to heat the pool that was used during the Olympic Aquatic Center. So that's the heat that's generated from these data centers. PD designation should not be a welcome mat for developers to come in and try and wedge an industrial facility into a commercially zoned item. A retention pond, and there's a substation.
Thank you, Kevin.
So thank you very much.
Our next speaker is Michael Slimmer, followed by Raphael Eschwan.
Hello, my name's Mike Slimmer. I'm a resident of Panther Heights. I live at 10241 West Rancho Diego Lane. If I get one thing across today, my one thing is, and I got to read it so I don't mess it up, okay? My brief explanation, the reason I'm here tonight is I'm requesting that the city council deny the zoning change as recommended by the city staff. That's pretty much my thing. I've listened to everything in here and it sounds pretty good. Most things do, and some things, shiny objects, look good. Some of the information's been provided as far as illustrations are confusing. They're renditions. If you put the scale to something on one of these pictures, you would think that 105 feet is not very much, but it truly is. As far as majority of the neighborhood, that's questionable to me because everybody I've talked to is not in favor of this, okay? So, with all that said, I'm not opposed to future growth. I think we need that stuff, and that's been talked here. Please deny the zoning change. That's all I've got. Thank you.
Mr. Slimmer. Our next speaker is Rafaela Swan, followed by Ethel Wetmore.
Rafaela?
Thank you. Thank you. I'm glad that I'm able to join my phone. And I echo the sentiments of everybody that's spoken before, that we request that you deny the data center. And one of the things that I would add as well is, even though it sounds very promising that we're going to get all that revenue for schools, I would like to question that. First, I would like to know how much of the money that has been awarded supposedly for schools from the lottery is actually given to the schools. If we were able to allocate the funds for what is designated at the beginning, I think we would have a lot better schools in Fort Worth and other parts of Texas. Thank you. And my name's Rafaela Schwan. I live at 5417 Posada.
Thank you, Ms. Schwan. Our next speaker is Ethel Wetmore, followed by Erica Schwan Ornelas.
Good evening, Mayor Parker, council people. My name is Ethel Wetmore, commonly called Pixie. I echo the sentiments of the majority of the folks that you've heard here so far. We object to the data center for the reasons already given. As a reference, I would like to point out that, for comparison, the historic Texas and Pacific Warehouse on West Lancaster, I'm sure we're all familiar with that. That's the elderly building down here. That is listed as 8 stories. What they're proposing to put in our neighborhood are 5 10-story buildings. We don't want that. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Erica Schwan Ornelas.
Hello, my name's Erica. Nice to see you all. Everyone I've spoken to in the neighborhood, they have very much been against this. Or, you know, they've, of course, also wanted the opinion of the people who will be closest affected. Because again, even in regards to us, they're building homes that are going to be even more closer than we will. But these are hyperscale data centers. The developers have at times called them hyperscale data centers. According to the definition, that is what they are. These are massive buildings. And for reference, you know, we had to go downtown to find a building of that kind of height, the Houston Place lofts. And you can see the mature trees, they're like barely half the size. And then you see 5'10", my dad, an adult right there, just to give you a reference. And that would be in the middle of neighborhoods. It would be completely out of place to the area. It would make these buildings in the top 30, not including downtown buildings. The other thing is they're putting 5 acres for a substation. And so when they talk about, you know, oh, we put a walking park, well, okay, we're gonna be able to walk outside and see a 5-acre substation every time, you know, because that's what's right next to it. Not to mention, you know, they keep talking about traffic, which a lot of us in the neighborhood never brought up. We're more interested in something for the community, something we can enjoy, something that, you know, gives back in all the right ways. Because the other thing too is, I mean, if we have these giant buildings here with, they'll be there forever. Businesses come and go. So and there are instances of where data centers turned into office space and distribution centers. They will be there forever, completely out of place of the entire neighborhood. Not to mention, sound is not a case of canceling each other out. Sound adds to each other, and this is sound that will always be there. And mind you, I did go to data centers, and the ones I went to were in industrial areas. And there's a reason for that. It's not to say we're against them. It's to say that they are zoned that way for a reason when this is a neighborhood. And so in addition to and when I went, I could hear them. I don't know what to tell you. I could hear them. And mind you, and that is in addition to hearing 18-wheelers and all that. Because the other thing too is these are diesel backup generators that they're going to have. And we've even had elected officials remark about how, we might want to rethink data centers to a degree because of the amount of growth going into this area, because of the amount of people moving here and the sheer amount of electricity they take. I mean, as it is, Councilman Williams, you brought up Cypress Water as an alternative. Why did you bring it up as an alternative? And we love the idea if it's going to be a data center, and then we'll just have these giant buildings completely out of place of the surrounding area. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Williams, that's the last of our speakers on this item.
Okay, great, thank you. Just one more follow-up question of George before I make a few comments and a motion. George, there were some comments about the aesthetics. Can you speak to the commitments that y'all have made in terms of how the design is built? I know y'all didn't show your slides today, but I think that would be helpful to speak to that.
Yes, sir. I mean, we put a lot of effort into making these very architecturally pleasing. In our community meetings, we even discussed that we'd even have them involved and help us pick some of those design elements that we'd have. These buildings will look like we can make them look like office buildings. You can put window veneers on the outside so they look like an office building. And they look spectacular at the hyperscaler level. Some of these smaller ones look like just little bunkers, but that's not what we're building here, and we're committed to actually having high-end architecture. Touching on the height as well, which kind of goes with the building as well. These, even though we're asking for the 105, it's important to point out that with the site grading that we're going to have here, we're anticipating that we're going to be lowering that site about 30 feet just to get a level pad that we have to get to put these buildings in. So really, it's a lot lower. When we did a lot of visual impacts and visual studies that we shared with Panther Heights, and quite frankly, you can barely even see it from that location. But the buildings are going to be very architecturally pleasing.
Thank you, that's all. Thank you to you and Travis, and also to the neighborhood. We've been meeting on this particular zoning case for several months now, back since May. And I have never in my entire career seen this level of engagement, both from neighbors and also from applicants on zoning cases. So thank you all for that. We heard a lot of concerns throughout that process. I came to this process as well with several of concerns, and I know just as much about data centers as I know about egrets now. So I feel like I am much more able to speak to this now. Some of the concerns that were raised tonight, as well as throughout this entire process, you have addressed, and you've provided 2 separate sets of FAQs in response to direct neighborhood concerns. Some were mentioned tonight, and you addressed those in writing back to the neighborhood. I provided those to the council members as well. So I appreciate that. I also appreciate that not only did you take the great length to respond to specific, very real concerns from our neighbors, you also committed to entering into an MOU, which I've seen the neighborhood has seen, that expresses a lot of these commitments as well between the neighborhood. I've had several conversations with many of our neighbors in Panther Heights and Llano Springs, Chisholm Trail Ranch, about this. And the benefits are really great for this project. I just want to offer a few, many of which were presented by the neighborhood. One was the need for open space within the far southwest corridor of Chisholm Trail. You committed to that as an idea that stemmed from the neighborhood, including trails. You also committed to a tree line buffer on Stewart Felts, which will also buffer phase 3 of Panther Heights from a natural gas fracking site, which generates quite a bit of noise, and it's right across the street from Panther Heights Addition 3. So you made a commitment to do that as well. You've also made commitments to restrict height, to include 15-foot wall around the generators, restrict Bitcoin mining and other industrial uses, restricting construction traffic, as well as requiring a site plan, which means that you all have to come back to not only the zoning commission, but to city council and before the neighborhood to make sure that the promises you committed to you uphold. In addition to that, there's a lot of benefits to our community. Not only does it move us one step closer in our city's efforts to try to balance our tax base. Our tax base is currently heavily funded by residential property taxes. And in order for us to meaningfully provide relief, we have to provide significant game-changing commercial projects all across the city. There's also been a huge need for infrastructure in our community. You've clearly not only made commitments to bring a much-needed infrastructure to a much-needed interchange on the toll road at Worth Creek, but that will also not only facilitate growth of commercial development at that corridor, it'll also facilitate growth of Tarleton State, which this property is directly across the toll road from. We know the predicament that our public schools are in when it's concerning public education. I was on a call today with our Chief Financial Officer, Crowley ISD, and it's really tough for them to meet budgets. What this project and projects like these does is it provides important revenue for our schools without sending additional students, which then increases the cost that we have to invest per student. So that was another benefit. The other thing is, this project provides high-paying jobs, 150 jobs, and you all had reported $75,000 to $140,000 per job. That is a significant salary for employees who would likely live, hopefully, in our community. And of course, the economic ripple effect is really important. This rings true to my commitment to our goal as a council office, as a council district and community, to attract good commercial development. We've done that, whether it's from Target to HEB to EECU to Chase Bank to Cava, just one exit away. And we're committed to ensuring that we have 100+ acres left for mixed-use development and commercial development. And so that commitment still rings true. So for all of these reasons, I would like to make a motion to, let me get this language right, and to my residents, I'm going to support this project today, but in the PD, I'm including all of the neighbor concerns within the PD so that it's required by ordinance. So if they don't address these concerns, it won't move forward. Secondly, if the water study comes back and it requires more water than the city can provide, we will not approve it as a city. Thirdly, if they apply for their electric permitting from Encore and from the state, if that gets denied because it's going to affect our electrical supply within the neighborhood, it'll also get denied. So me supporting it tonight doesn't mean that this is a guarantee going to happen. There's still two major hurdles with a lot of significant investment that's going to need to be made in order for this to even be successful. So this is a yes to the use and a yes for them continuing to study this project. So with that being said, I'd like to make a motion to approve with the following amended motion. Amend PD 1091, plan development for all uses in F general commercial plus data center, excluding Bitcoin mining and all industrial uses with the following development standards. A maximum building height of 105 feet from proposed grade, which is proposed at 30 feet below existing grade of phase 3 of the Panther Heights neighborhood, including a parapet wall on the roof. Construction traffic access will be limited to Chisholm Trail Parkway at FEM 1187 up to Old Granbury Road. Construction traffic is prohibited from accessing the neighborhoods and Summer Creek Drive. A 15-foot wall around the generators and placement of generators to the south of each building constructed. Tree line buffer along Stewart Felts Road, along the property line and around the perimeter of buildings. 35% open space requirement, site plan required.
I've got a motion, council, and a second. Councilmember Nettles?
Yeah, before we vote on that, I do have one question, because I did hear one concern. Most of the concerns you addressed in your amendment, but one of the concerns you just talked about was the 30 feet, or it's not going to be the 105. Is that not in your amended motion?
Yeah, I just included that. And so with them grading 30 feet below grade, the new height of the building relative to the neighborhood and relative to Tarleton, these buildings will be the same height as the buildings at Tarleton.
So it won't be 105?
It would be 105, but minus 30 because they're having to take it down 30. So the relative height is 105 minus 30.
I'm not here at a math class, I don't know.
75, 75 feet.
And I just want to, because I think the other concern was, I think it's going to be a total of 5 buildings. That is really alarming and concerning to me for the community. And I want to say thank you guys for coming out. Your voices were heard tonight. I want you to understand that. And I think Dr. Williams has done a job with trying to work with everyone to get to this process. I do have one question. I don't want to belabor the point because this has been a very long zoning case. Thank you, Dr. Williams, for that. He did forewarn us. But I just got one question because I'm really, staff had recommended for denial. Staff, can you give us a brief of why the denial was recommended? I know. Thank you.
Excuse me, certainly Mayor and City Council. So the main things that we're looking at, which was somewhat alluded to from one of the neighborhoods who spoke tonight, is we look at our comprehensive plan. So, but we're not just looking at the map. We have a future land use map that shows proposed zoning designations, but then we also have policies within the comprehensive plan. So based upon our assessment of the plan, that's the reason why we recommended denial.
And I know we had continued this. Did this go back through the zoning recommendation or no? We just continued it for?
Yes, that is correct. We continued it because there were ongoing conversations. So some of the things that we will try to do too, I should note, is the comprehensive plan was looking at more general commercial. And so with this use not being commercial, that's why staff's recommendation was for denial.
Okay, thank you. And I think this is a note for our staff because you guys do a phenomenal job. But I think when we get to cases like these and we continue it, I think it's good for us to have a second review so that if that denial needs to be changed, it gives the community a little bit more understanding. To your point that you looked at policies holistically, neighborhood, the area more, then when you got to talking about this specific location, maybe the concept kind of changed. So I think in the future, it will help me as a council member that when I take this vote today, that I have the support of city staff as well.
Then those things will be, one thing I can say too, if this helps, and this is something, like you said, could have been included in the report, but these additional, I would say conditions, these additional development standards definitely help it. We feel like be, more consistent with those policies within the plan.
Thank you. I just have some concerns, so I'm just weighing my vote out. Thank you.
Councilmember Bivens.
Okay, LaShondra, don't leave. I have a question for you. And I don't want to have to do any adding in my head and comprehending, nothing like that. What I heard from people who live in the area, they're concerned about the height. Is that what I heard from y'all? Okay. All these things that just got added, does that get to a height where the people are comfortable?
So at 75 feet, one of the things that we also look at, Once we get the site plan, of course, we will do a much better evaluation, because right now we're kind of talking hypotheticals. But at 75 feet, one thing that we would look at is we'd also make sure that wherever they situate that building on the property, that it met what we consider the height setback slope. And what that means is that based upon the height of the building, it has to be set back a certain distance from the nearest residential district. So that's one thing that we will do an additional evaluation on once we actually have the site plan.
I don't feel real comfortable with that. And so, did we hear from the neighborhood president, Jeanette, or secretary, or who did we hear from that was representing the neighborhood?
I didn't see anybody that was listed as representing from.
Okay, whoever said that you didn't like the height, who are you? Raise your hand. Okay. Are you all clear with all of this?
Sorry,
You gotta get to
can't
the
speak from the
microphone.
audience. So Councilmember Bivens, I believe, is calling on speaker. I'm gonna shoot in the black here. Mike, no. Kevin Schwan. Yes. Mr. Schwan, please. Thank you. Take the microphone.
And Kevin, we just met, so I'll excuse the casual greeting, but are you comfortable with the explanation you just heard and how the motion got amended? Does it meet your satisfaction?
No, it doesn't, honestly. And here's
That's
the reason.
okay. No, it's all right. I'm a yes or no. I'm just real simple. I'm
Okay.
real simple, so
No,
I'm
it
good.
doesn't.
Okay, I don't know if I can help you or not, but I'll be a no, just because I don't know that I would want to see a big old building in my neighborhood. And it doesn't seem like there are clear answers from staff. And the motion, the specs you put off in there, Dr. Williams, kind of just leave me floating in the air. Thank you, Kevin.
You're welcome.
So, thank you.
Councilmember Williams, I believe that's last of the council comments. I've got a motion and a second on the floor. Any other discussion? If not, we're going to vote. Councilmember Crane is a yes. Okay. Motion carries. Council, our next item is ZC 24-102. We have one speaker on this item, Miss Melissa Wade Hunter. Good to see Melissa. I saw her come in. There she is.
My name is Melissa.
Hello, Ms. Hunter.
My name is Melissa Wade Hunter, P.O. Box 470243, Fort Worth, Texas, 76147. I'm speaking for the North Fort Worth Historical Society. We support the amendments proposed in ZC 24-102. Thank you to city staff and Councilman Flores for all the rational efforts and work in bringing this to council. We want to remember the history of this place, for without the history, it wouldn't be here. Thank you.
Thank you, Melissa. Councilmember Flores, that's the last of our speakers on this item.
Move to approve, Mayor.
Thank you. Motion and a second. Any other discussion, council? If not, please vote. Councilmember Crane's a yes. Councilmember Williams is not here, neither is Nettles. Motion carries. Next item is ZC 23-200, which is, no, it's not. Yes, it is. There is. Councilmember Beck, please. You have one speaker on this item. Christine, where is she? There she is. I'm sure our Trinity Habitat friends probably wanted to speak for Fernando earlier. You were tempted to, yes.
Thank you so much for everything. We appreciate you very much. Mayor Parker, City Council members, thank you for the opportunity to address you. The zoning case before you, CZ 23-200, 5250 Wonder, and 5240 Wooten Drive is a senior cottage community that we have planned in District 4. Thank you, Councilwoman Beck, for your work, and also to Councilman Williams, who got things started. We intend to build 39 small detached cottages that will be deed restricted and age restricted for citizens over 62. Applicants must apply to purchase the cottage, and we will confirm their eligibility with our program's age and income restrictions. These cottages will be sold to clients who will occupy their homes and deed restricted to prohibit rentals and investors from purchasing. According to the U.S. Census, 10,000 baby boomers will turn 65 every day between the years 2011 and 2029. Many are on fixed incomes and depend on Social Security as their main source of income. This development will be an affordable option for those currently living in an overpriced rental or someone who is currently in a home that they own, but they're ready to downsize. This will be HOA managed so that the maintenance of green space and common areas will be handled by someone else. All homes will be built to Energy Star and fortified standards, which will protect them from straight line winds. We've met with the Wedgewood Square Neighborhood Association, Foster Park, and Wedgewood North and have received positive feedback. Our zoning application includes a letter of support from the Wedgewood Square Neighborhood Association. It's our hope that you'll vote in favor of this zoning request that will allow some of our most vulnerable citizens to age in place where they will enjoy financial stability in a low or no maintenance home. So, thank you.
Councilmember Beck.
As always, the work that Habitat for Humanity does is so important to this city. I'm really excited to see this product come online in the city of Fort Worth as we struggle with affordability. One thing that we often on council debate is home ownership and how we create affordability and home ownership at the same time. And so y'all managed to do that. And you're doing it for our older population that needs some safety and security. So thank you so very much. And yes, for you, not for you, you're not there yet. But maybe for me one day. So thank you so very much, and I enthusiastically move to approve.
Got a motion and a second. Council, please vote. Councilmember Bivens was a second. Thank you. Michael's a yes. Motion carries. Next up is ZC 24-039. Councilmember Hill.
The developer actually was too late to pull this request from the agenda, so I'm going to go ahead and uphold the zoning commission's recommendation for denial.
Second.
Michael's a yes. Thank you. Councilor, yeah. Motion carries. Next up is ZC 24-044. Councilmember Bivens. There are no speakers on this item. Motion is second. Please vote. Motion carries. Next item is ZC-24-050, Councilmember Martinez. We have two speakers on this item. They are, first is Dan Hayes. Dan will be followed by Cindy Bowling, excuse me.
Good evening. My name is Dan Hayes, and I serve as the Vice President of the Central Meadowbrook Neighborhood Association. This case is across the street from our southern border. The neighborhood in this zoning case has no formal representation of its own. Dallas Avenue is a residential street immediately south of, but not quite parallel to, East Lancaster Avenue. Within the span of 500 feet, there are three commercial entities that have encroached into this working class neighborhood. These commercial entities are like missing teeth, and they nibble away at the integrity of the neighborhood. This is the second zoning case in 2024 involving a short section of the street. Here's what the current zoning looks like, along with some notations of where residential sites on this street have been lost or illegally fenced off for commercial uses over the years. All told, at least 10 home sites have been lost on the north side of the street. This has left several small groups of residential property bookended with fenced commercial property on both sides of them. The Dallas Avenue property owners deserve better. A few owners have reinvested in their homes and in a couple of cases built new homes, but others are more tentative about the future and have held off on improvements. Here's the most recent aerial photograph of the existing business at 5456 East Lancaster from the city's website. Cars are being stored indefinitely, basically a junkyard, in violation of city ordinance. Now the applicant wants you to legitimize those violations by allowing this zoning case to, approving this zoning case to allow vehicle storage and to rezone the residential lot at 5433 Dallas to allow storage there. This is after demolishing the house without a permit and erecting an 8-foot solid wood fence at the front yard property line without the necessary variances. This is a classic example of how auto-related businesses have historically operated on East Lancaster Avenue. Of the 35 or so such businesses, many contain dozens of junk cars. Nearly all are legal non-conforming or just non-conforming businesses because of council-initiated zoning changes 13 years ago, which downzoned the properties to e-commercial as a foundational step in moving Lancaster away from its vehicle-centric past. Approving this case would reverse that process and does nothing to help East Lancaster Avenue move to a brighter future or to enhance the residential property values on Dallas Avenue.
Dan, thank you. I think your time's expired. I apologize, we didn't start the clock, but I was on my own. So it wasn't you, it was us, so sorry. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Our next speaker is Sydney Bowling.
Thank you, Council. My name is Cindy Bowling. I'm president of Central Meadowbrook Neighborhood Association. Dan covered many of the points I was going to make, as he eloquently does. I want to share that this property owner filed for this zoning change after our efficient code department started issuing citations because of the junkyards. And he even erected his building into the easement. I think it's about 25 feet into the easement, okay? And this residential property, he's already started piling junk cars on it, and that's what he wants to do. So fortunately, again, our code compliance department found it, started citing him. Our amazing Jeanette Martinez has visited with us about it, and we all recognize that East Lancaster Avenue is in a renaissance. And a junkyard chop shop auto repair place is not our vision for East Lancaster Avenue. So I would ask that you all deny with prejudice this zoning case. And Jeanette, thank you for moving zoning to the top of the agenda so we're not here till midnight. Thank you all.
Councilmember Martinez, the floor is yours.
I do have a question. Would that be, LaShondra, would that be you? So what's going to happen if I deny this case today? Will they still be able to use the one, not the residential property, but the other 5456 as automotive repair?
So there's a portion of it that we know for sure was not what we consider legal non-conforming, meaning that it would be grandfathered. Mm-hmm. There's another section that we requested information from the property owner so that we can make that determination. If we're not able to determine that it was legal non-conforming, then that portion would not be able to continue to be used. However, the other portion that we have determined is legal non-conforming could continue to be used.
Okay. And I do know, after speaking with the neighbor right next door to 5433, that that house that was there was kind of shady, and they're kind of happy that it's gone, but I am going to motion along with staff and zoning's recommended vote for denial with prejudice.
Second, please vote. Motion carries. Our next item is ZC 24-077. Councilmember Beck, we have several speakers on this item. Our first is Houston Simmons, followed by Jake Petrie.
Are slides available? The slide's not attached? Okay. I'll go without slides.
Did you provide them?
We did, yeah. That's all right. I'll work without slides, and we can share slides if they're necessary. Yeah. Yeah.
You can use them on this, yeah, perfect.
Okay, well, thank you for having me. There we go. Yeah, that's me.
You can restart his time. Thank you. Go ahead, Houston.
Can we get to the sloppy slides? Okay. All right. Boom. Thank you. Thank you for having me. My name's Houston Simmons. I'm the president of Slappy Car Wash. These are different. Well, this is a car wash that we built. So typically when you hear about a car wash, we understand that it comes with a certain stigma, and we're here to tell you that we represent a little bit different model. A negative image might come to mind. You might think of a poorly maintained site that is unstaffed and unattractive. Here you can see a site we recently built on Bryan Irvin. We represent a different model, aesthetically conscious and well-staffed with friendly people. Or you may think of corporate owners, unconcerned about the communities they serve, unwilling to bend to accommodate neighbors' requests. Our whole team is from Fort Worth. My family and I live less than 2 miles from this site. I coach baseball down the street. Before we put the site under contract, we spoke to every direct neighbor, including Walker Chiropractic Clinic, the owner of 111 Bolin Office Building, the property manager of Monticello Oaks, Greenwood Cemetery, and the owner of the convenience store. Nobody opposed us. We spoke to Councilmember Beck, who's been very helpful guiding us through this process, and we spoke to numerous nearby residents. We wanted to make sure that the community supported us. We run a premium car wash. We take pride in what we do. We don't fit the model that a lot of people associate with the car wash stigma. We treat our employees well. It's critical to our model. And our customers benefit from it. Our employees treat our customers well. You can see we have over 1,000 Google reviews with a 4.8 star rating. We're really proud of that. We also support local organizations. We care about the communities. We donate to multiple Little Leagues, band programs, other community organizations. We did a fundraiser for River Tree Academy on our site the other day. We raised $1,500. We are in touch with the communities we serve, and we care about them, particularly this one. This site is a challenge. There's a 50-foot easement running corner to corner, which has really limited development. It's how Lake Worth gets their water. It's currently vacant. In the updated presentation, I had a slide that showed a homeless community that is behind the biggest dirt mound on the site. We've had to move those homeless people twice to do our site diligence. It's really difficult to develop this site because of the easement, so we created a creative site plan here designed around it. So you can't build structure on that entire highlighted area, and that's why the site has remained vacant. We are adding beautiful landscaping. We had another slide, unfortunately that didn't show up, that shows all the trees that we're adding. Lots of trees, hedges, lush landscaping to shield noise and provide a beautiful facade from White Settlement. We're proud of the project, and we did something similar at Bryan Irvin. Councilmember Williams supported us here. It had a substation. You couldn't see all you saw was a substation from Bryan Irvin in this awkwardly shaped lot, and this is what we built that the community now drives past. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Houston. Our next speaker is Jake Petrie, followed by Blair Walker.
Good evening, Council. My name is Jake Petrie, and I'm one of the developers of this project. We mitigated the concerns that are typically raised. We put the tunnel as far as we could from the nearby townhomes. We limit our hours to 8 to 8 p.m., and we gate and monitor the site when it is closed. We understand the noise concerns, but our car wash uses a modern vacuum system with a centralized producer, which is enclosed in a CMU block enclosure. We then took decibel readings, and our site will barely be noticeable across White Settlement. We also put our lights on timers to ensure that they do not bother residents, neighbors after hours. We adhere to almost every preference City Council requests for car washes. The only exceptions are unique. We are requesting the 3 variances. It is preferred that your dryer doesn't face a residential district, that your vacuums are not within 25 foot of a residential district, and the vacuums and dryers are not within the setback. We can't accommodate this preference sort of due to a technicality. Usually this concept applies when a car wash actually shares a property line. Here we have Boland Street sitting between our site and the townhomes. That is 70 feet and 2 sidewalks away. The property manager of those townhomes are not concerned at all about our project. She is concerned about the suspicious activity that exists on the site today and spills over into the townhomes. We approach community outreach seriously. We have met or tried to meet with everyone affected by this development or anyone who opposed it. The chiropractor of the office building and the owner of the lower income housing, who are our closest neighbors, all wrote us letters of support. We submitted 42 total detailed letters of support. The site has remained vacant for far too long. It sits next to a discount convenience store and a bar. The backup offer on the site is a 24-hour laundromat, which is zoned by right. They wouldn't have to come to council. They can just begin starting their permitting. We're presenting a better option for the community, a daytime business with beautiful landscaping, a community mindset. Sometimes it's easy to be against something without saying what you are for. Here, I am telling you, if you are against our neighborhood car wash, you are by default supporting a laundromat. We are locals. We know the site and this community well. We build and operate beautiful, environmentally conscious car washes. Our hundreds of Google reviews at our 3 operating sites speak for themselves. The site is currently a problem for the neighborhood, but there are not many options that work. The neighbors closest to the property support us because they know best the limitations of the site and the state of the current status quo. We are proud of the option we are presenting today. Thank you for your time.
Our next speaker is Blair Walker, followed by Robert Ratliff.
Hi, I'm Blair Walker, and I'm a resident of Monticello near the car wash. I also have served on the Monticello Neighborhood Association board for over 10 years. And as a board, we have long ago decided not to voice our opinion on anything outside of our boundary, but I know as a resident that this is a great use for something that has been unproductive for way too long. As Houston referenced, it has accumulated trash, weeds, and vagrancy for several years, and because of the 50-foot easement, there really is lack of any other productive use. So I urge you guys to approve it so that we can have something lovely go back into a place that's just been empty and ugly for a long time. Thank you.
Thank you, Blair. Our next speaker is Robert Ratliff, followed by Andrew Cardwell.
Good evening, Mayor Parker and council members. My name is Robert Ratliff. Please excuse me for not dressing up. I came from coaching Little League Baseball at Westside Little League. Thank you for the opportunity to speak today. I'm from Fort Worth, Texas. I was raised in Crestwood on Eastwood Avenue, where my mom still lives. And this June, my family and I moved back to Crestwood on Cresthaven Terrace. And we're excited to be back in the neighborhood and excited to hopefully have a car wash only 45 seconds from our house so we can get our cars cleaned. I am here on behalf of a long list of my neighbors in Crestwood, some in this room, to express our strong support for Slappy's Car Wash in the Crestwood neighborhood, and more importantly, for its owner, Houston Simmons, and his team at Slappy's. As someone who is passionate about supporting young entrepreneurs in Fort Worth, I believe businesses like Slappy's Car Wash are vital to our local economy and the future of this city. We do not need another bar, gas station, liquor store, or laundromat, or even more vacant land on White Settlement. Entrepreneurs like Houston embody the hard work, determination, and community spirit that we should all strive to nurture. They're not just business owners, they are the heartbeat of Fort Worth's economic growth and social fabric. Houston Simmons is an exceptional example of what an ethical and responsible entrepreneur looks like. Beyond running a successful business, he is a dedicated father and a man of integrity. He has deep, long-lasting ties to this community, and those connections are evident in everything he does. His business operates with the highest ethical standards, and he has consistently shown a commitment to providing valuable services and creating local jobs. Slappy's Car Wash is not just another business in Fort Worth. It is a reflection of what we want our city to stand for. By supporting Houston in his car wash, we're investing in a future that prioritizes ethical business practices, economic opportunity, and community building. Houston has shown through his actions that he cares deeply for this city and the people who live here. I strongly encourage the City Council to continue to support entrepreneurs like Houston Simmons. By doing so, we not only foster the entrepreneurial spirit in Fort Worth, but also reinforce our commitment to promoting businesses that put people and ethics first. And last but not least, I went to school with Jordan, Slappy's controller, from kindergarten through 8th grade at St. Andrew's Catholic School. Jordan is born and raised here in Fort Worth, Texas. It is awesome to see her doing awesome things in and for our city. Let's give Slappy's a chance and go clean our cars. Thank you again for your time and consideration.
Thank you, Robert. Our next speaker is Andrew Cardwell, followed by Grady McLeland.
Thanks for having me. I'm a resident of Crestwood neighborhood. My wife and 3 kids live there. We've been there for the last 4 years. We're fully supportive of Slappy's Car Wash. I think it would only add to the convenience of our lives. There's a lot of construction going on in our neighborhood. The city's, replacing the water mains in most of our streets. Everything's dusty. No problem. But everything's really dusty, and a car wash would be really great. And I work in downtown, so this would be right on my commute. I think if you spoke to most of my neighbors, they'd all be fully supportive of it. Right now, the commute to work looks like this. I mean, you go take a left off of North Bailey onto White Settlement. You're going to have Greenwood Cemetery on your left, and then all on the right, you're going to see townhomes. You're going to see an old gas station, a bar, a lot of vacant lots, and then Brahms. Nothing but positive things to say about Brahms. Wonderful establishment. But the majority of what you're going to see on the right there can only be described as urban decay. And I think that Houston Simmons is the right guy to develop this site. I've met him a couple of times, but mostly know him through reputation, and that reputation is of a very diligent, very good man, brilliant business acumen, and a rising star in the Fort Worth business community. I'm here to support him, and thank you.
Thank you, Andrew. I fed my family Brahms last night, so I would agree with you. Next is Grady McLeland, followed by Patty Ratliff. Okay, thank you. Patty Ratliff. Patty will be followed by Gail Davis. Hello there.
Well, of course, I'm Patty Ratliff. Andrew and Robert, my son, said everything I was going to say, but I'm 100% behind the car wash. I can't tell you how much this would mean to Crestwood and Monticello. I mean, right now, I'm kind of old. I have to drive on University, past University Center to the car wash, or down 30, can't believe past 30, to the other car wash. I can't use those portable car washes anymore. I can't get the top of my car cleaned. And as you know, Andrew said, we have got lots of dust and dirt in Crestwood right now. Thank you for your time, and let's go Slappies. Oh, my neighbors are here. They're also for it.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Gail Davis.
I'm Gail Davis, and I live in Crestwood. And yes, they are my neighbors. I wanted to read something from another Crestwood neighbor that wrote this. We are, the main concern for us also is Greenwood Cemetery. I know they are opposed to it. I've spoken with their lead counsel. I think he wrote a letter. He was going to. But this is something just to set the scene. Imagine this. You're in a chapel at the memorial service trying to hear the speaker at the podium, but a distracting, almost constant hum seems to vaguely permeate the sanctity of the moment. Later, when the ceremony moves to the graveside, the hum is louder to the point of oppressing. The last moments of your farewell to your loved one, moments that should be solemn, are rudely interrupted by the industrial hum. It sounds almost like it's next door or across the street. You look around and are astonished by what you see across the street. It's a large, loud commercial car wash, and the big blowers that dry the cars as they pass through the tunnel sound like jet engines being tested. And it's apparent it's not going to stop because there's a line of automobiles waiting to go through the tunnel. How did this happen? We have Crestwood residents. I had gone and gotten a petition signed. We have about 50 signatures from residents of Crestwood. Most of them are on Eastwood, which is the first street coming in. They're opposed to the car wash. It's just an obtrusive thing to have right there outside of your neighborhood main entrance. So we, the Crestwoods from Crestwood, Monticello, Linwood, and West 7th Street area have sent letters in, and they've asked for y'all to please oppose this zoning request to allow that commercial car wash to be built so close to this high-density residential location. There's where the people are living in their homes. Peace and quiet and safety are key elements for residents. That's what we want to have in our neighborhoods and feel safe and quiet. This is at the doorstep of several apartment communities, Monticello neighborhood, Crestwood neighborhood, and right directly across the street from Greenwood Cemetery's main entrance, where they have funeral processions go through. So we are just asking that, I know zoning had denied this application, and the same reasons was, it's just not a good fit for that spot. They had to ask for a lot of variances, too close to the street, too close to residential homes, and the noise and the busyness and traffic. We're asking for you to oppose this just for the neighborhood's sake. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Beck, that's the last of our speakers on this item.
Thank you. And I want to thank the folks at Slappy's for all of the hard work that you've done working with the neighborhoods on this. There was some community opposition to this particular zoning case, but I can tell you it's the first time in my tenure here on council that I've had overwhelming support for a car wash. We see these come before council often, and I've got 8 letters of support from Monticello, 12 from Crestwood, and about 15 from the West 7th area in general. And that's just District 9 and District 7. This particular site actually borders the two. And so I also want to thank my colleague, Councilwoman Macy Hill, for all of her work and working with her neighborhoods to make sure that we reached consensus on this. There have been a couple letters of objection. One of those was Greenwood, and I'll let Councilmember Hill speak to that here in a minute. I'm going to move to approve this particular zoning change request. It is a very complicated site with an easement running right through it, so it does limit what we can do there. Sans neighborhood commercial with a massive parking lot that I don't think does the community justice. This will provide an amenity in what is a pretty difficult spot to develop on, and so with that, I move to approve.
Councilmember Hill?
First of all, Gail, thank you for coming and taking the time to make your comments. You were heard, and I appreciate it. To Houston, the entire Slappy's team, thank you so much for being so thoughtful about the design, working with the neighborhoods, including Monticello, Crestwood, Idlewild, and hearing their concerns, and especially the proximity of the Monticello Oaks apartments. They're right next door, and I think the design that y'all have presented really works with them as far as deflecting noise and making sure that there's a landscape that's attractive to the rest of the community as they drive up and down White Settlement. I do want to address Greenwood. I did have a conversation with John Stephen and Arlie Davenport this afternoon. They are rescinding their opposition to the project, and so with that, I will second Councilwoman Beck's motion.
Got a motion and a second. Any other discussion, council? If not, please vote. Motion carries.
Our next item is ZC 24-082.
Councilmember Hill, we have one speaker on this item, and it is Travis Clegg. Only if there's opposition. To my knowledge, there is none. Go ahead, Travis. Oh, yeah, who's stuck? You stuck?
Sorry, I checked the wrong box before we got here tonight. Travis Clegg with Westwood Professional Services again, representing the case for the Living Trust, for the Nelson Living Trust. The main purpose of our zoning today is to change it from A5 to C multifamily to the highest and best use we can get, and also to do a water and sewer study to reserve water and sewer capacity for this property should it ever develop. So it's really kind of a protection deal for this development. The property is adjacent to what is currently A10 zoning, but the future land use, it's owned by the city of Fort Worth. It's going to be a park area. To the south of us is multifamily. Across the street is Grace Baptist Church. And there is some A5 zoning to our north. So it does say we're inconsistent or not compatible with our surrounding land uses, but I think we're a lot closer than the report says. The property lies within the Lake Worth Vision Plan and has been identified as a mixed-use area, and this will be multifamily, which is allowed in the mixed-use program. A little technical deal with the commercial side of it, but overall it's allowed within the Lake Worth Vision Plan. We've reached out to our neighbors. We've reached out to 2 different HOA groups, the Joint Reserve Base, the ISD. We did get pushback from the Lake Worth Neighborhood Association that weren't in favor of it. However, the Lake Vista HOA wasn't opposed to the case. In fact, the gentleman I talked to actually lived in the multifamily site south of us. Lake Worth ISD had no opposition, and we meet the standards for the Joint Reserve Base decibel levels. So with that, I'll answer any questions you may have.
Okay, thank you, Travis. I mean, really, you answered majority of my questions. I mean, there's no development currently planned, correct?
That's correct.
And I know the proposed zoning is not consistent with the comprehensive plan map, but it is consistent with the Lake Worth Vision Plan.
Correct.
So with that, I move to approve.
A motion and a second, please vote. Motion carries. Our next item is SP 24-010, Councilmember Williams. We only have one speaker on this item. It is Travis Clegg, and to my knowledge, there is no opposition.
Thank you, Mayor. We're going to continue this until the next zoning meeting.
A motion to continue in a second, please vote. Motion carries. Our next item is ZC 24-074. Councilmember Beck, we have a few speakers on this item. Our first speaker is Mike Brennan, followed by Barry Hudson.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Good evening. My name is Mike Brennan. I'm president of Near Southside, Inc., and I'll start with some big picture comments and then speak more specifically about the case, and then the representative from Cook Children's will dive into those details even more. As you all know, our Near Southside District is home to the city's Medical Innovation District, and I'm certainly biased, but I think that it's one of the most remarkable and unique medical districts in the country because of the unique mix of assets and ingredients that we have. And of course, most visible are the world-class medical institutions that continue to grow and adapt not only to our rapid population growth, but also change in healthcare delivery systems and medical needs. We also are a district that's over 125 years old now, and so we have a collection of historic buildings reflecting that history of the past. We're fortunate that many of the best of those buildings are designated locally by the city of Fort Worth, and therefore they are historically protected, and so they're not going to be going anywhere even as their surroundings change over time, and a vibrant district like ours is always changing. Our team, in fact, works in a historic home right across the street from a hospital that continues to grow, and that is a common circumstance across the district. We are also a district that has areas like Magnolia Village, South Main Village, these areas that are entertainment districts delivering so many things to do, places to live, and as a result, we are now a state-designated cultural district, one of 2 in the city of Fort Worth. All of these ingredients assets add investment and energy on a continual basis in support of all of the other ingredients. And we support the growth and development of all of these assets all of these special places that are being created, and all the partners that are involved in creating those places. We've done that with our major medical institutions in various ways, and we have a special collaboration with Cook Children's that you'll hear more about. That collaboration goes back to 2008 when our Near South Side form-based code was adopted. We have a memorandum of understanding that we worked through with Cook Children's to support a tailored approach to their continued growth. That collaboration has been very successful in facilitating high-quality design that is consistent with the overall intent and vision of our Near South Side Code. The G zoning that is being requested allows the flexibility that helps Cook adapt to the operational challenges and requirements of their facilities without needing waivers that might be triggered by the Near South Side Code. They speak with us at an early stage in their process, consistent with their commitment to meet the spirit of that code. We want to continue that collaboration, and we will do so with the projects that land on these parcels, and we're supportive of this zoning.
Thank you, Mike. Our next speaker is Barry Hudson, followed by Jason Smith.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the council. For the record, I'm Barry Hudson, Senior Planner with Dunaway Associates, here tonight representing Cook Children's Medical Center, a world-class pediatric medical facility and an anchor to the Fort Worth Medical District. Cook Children's is a major employer and a robust economic hub for the south side of Fort Worth, but more importantly, it provides critical pediatric care for not only the 12th largest city in the country, but also for the entire region. To serve this ever-expanding population, Cook's Children also needs to expand. ZC 2474 is about the thoughtful expansion that is needed. For the last 17 years, Cook has worked with Near Southside Inc. under a memo of understanding. As Cook acquires additional properties for expansion, it periodically requires rezoning for the additional properties from the Near Southside form-based code to G commercial to facilitate the medical facilities of Cook Children's. It is all about flexibility, not requiring Cooks to ask for multiple waivers from the form-based code. These waivers might include percentage of clear windows on the ground floor, which does not work for a medical facility, a drop-off, off-street drop-off for childcare or emergency vehicles, building entry locations, building setbacks, parking locations. There are various things that would have to be waivers to facilitate the expansion. The MOU specifically says G commercial to give flexibility while working with the Near South Side Inc. on the architectural design. Cook's Children has never maximized the height allowed under G, even in the core of its campus. As they expand to the west, it is anticipated that the new facilities would not be of the same size and scale. Near South Side, as you've already heard, supports the zoning change to G. The staff report states that the land use compatibility with the surrounding development is good. The request is consistent with the comprehensive plan. The request is also consistent with the comprehensive plan policies. The development staff has recommended approval. The Urban Design Commission has recommended approval. The Zoning Commission vote was 5-3, with the majority of the Zoning Commission voting in favor of it. We request approval of ZC 2474 tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Barry. Our next speaker is Jason Smith. Yes, sir? That works for me, Jason. I'm feeling friendly. Art Brender, followed by Jason Smith.
I didn't get it here at the beginning. I'd like to put these photographs out.
If you'll just hand them right here, we'll take care of that.
May it please the council. My name is Art Brender, and my law office is at 600 8th Avenue in this historic district. It's the 8th Avenue Historic District. And it was designated that way for a couple of reasons. Number one, it's the only full block that's intact. It was in which the homes were built between 1890 and 1910. And I'm just going to show you a little bit. The bottom ones are what it looked like before. A couple of those were simply not even, hadn't been used for some time. And then what we have before my office is in the one on the far right. Above it is 608 8th Avenue. I also own that. But that was Winfield Scott's home in 1910 when they had the first telephone book in Fort Worth. And he's listed at that address. And he, shortly after that, a year or so afterwards, when he bought Thistle Hill, and there's all that saga and so forth. The other one over here at the far left at the top is Dr. Arion. Now, Winfield Scott actually built both of those houses in one in 1909, 1910. The 1910 house is Dr. Arion's house, and he was the first dean of the medical school in Fort Worth. Fort Worth had a medical school for about 10 or 15 years, and it was at the Public Health Hospital, which is now the Bass Performing Center, or rehearsal center, I believe it is. It used to be the Public Health Hospital. And Dr. Arion was there, and then that's a famous pioneering fact. There's an Arion County in West Texas. We're here because Cooks wants to change the zoning from the overlay, I call it Fort Worth South, that's what it was. Now that's near Fort Worth overlay that was put in place. And I was on the committee, the development committee of Fort Worth South for about 10 years or so that developed that overlay. And the whole idea was to do what has happened and had been very successful, I think, in the way it's divided up where various things were. And that overlay just has a maximum 3-story limit, okay? Cooks wants to change it to G, which has a 12-story limit, which is what's happened across the street. Now, I think these houses had a nice entrance to our whole medical facility. But then I've got 2 minutes left.
30 seconds, yes, sir.
How many minutes?
30 seconds.
Okay, first of all, we've been through this before, if you know. The National Registry Act requires that these houses be protected from even anything in and around the neighborhood. I don't think that was done when they did this, put those towers that look like, some kind of drain elevator. But we had this with iCare in the Fifth Circuit, as you recall, reversed that and said, hey, you've got to.
Thank you,
Mr.
Mr. Brenner.
You got to follow the law on this.
Thank you, Mr. Brenner. Your time's expired.
Okay, thank you. Take care.
Our next speaker is Jason Smith.
May it please the council. My name is Jason Smith. I live in Ryan Place, and I have an office at 612 8th Avenue. When I was 4 years old, my family sent me to the Child Study Center, which was right across the street. And we used to they'd walk us around here, and we thought this house was haunted. Fast forward 30 years, Art and Linda Brender committed to restoring these historic homes in their original state. And they have done an amazing job, and it is an amazing testament to their legacy of what they've done for Fort Worth. That's what happens when you don't follow code and you don't follow zoning rules. We have talked to Cooks. Cooks came and spoke with us today. And we've heard some noise about, well, they want to build a daycare that would maybe be 2-3 stories. I don't have any opposition to that, but they wouldn't put it in writing. And we have a whole block of historic houses that were built in the early 1900s. And they won't, and I asked, well, if y'all leave, if you go to Tahiti and you're not in charge, they could build a 10-story building. And they said, yeah, they can. And then I visited with Mike Brennan, who's done a lot for the near South Side. And I said, well, what if you just don't take a position? And he indicated that their organization is bound by this memorandum of understanding, the last provision on it. They're actually bound to assist Cooks in requesting zoning changes. They can't even say, if they disagree with it, that they disagree with it. So they're here under this memorandum of understanding because they told Cooks they'd do it. We've made investments in this property. I'm all for working with Cooks. I would ask the council to deny it without prejudice, and hopefully we could come to an understanding with Cooks. But what they want to do is incompatible with what the Brenders have done to preserve these historic houses. And it's going to, they're not willing to even disclose or discuss with us on the front end what they want to do. Please deny it without prejudice.
That's the conclusion of our speakers on this item.
Great, thank you. First, I want to thank, I see Jason Williamson here from Cooks. Thank you for being here. Thank you, Mike Brennan, for all the work you've done. Thank you to the members of the community who took the time to meet with both Mike Brennan and members of Cook to try to come to a mutual understanding of what this project is. I had the opportunity to spend a couple of hours on Cook's campus about 6 weeks ago to really go through step by step what their master planning looks like. And Cook is such a vital asset to our community here in Fort Worth, not just Fort Worth, but Texas as a whole. The draw that that institution brings to make sure that our children stay healthy and have the best possible care is so incredibly important. And the expansion of their mission isn't just a benefit to Fort Worth, but it's a benefit to our greater community as well. I often say, as the representative for the medical district, I love to see when our hospitals grow, because that means that we're bringing better care to the community, and it means that our residents don't have to drive to Dallas to get what they need. And that's a lot of what you'll be seeing in the expansion of Cooks. I understand that there is some consternation about G and the potential to go to a 12-story level. I trust Cook. They've been a great partner with the Near South Side and the city of Fort Worth. If they are not a good partner, I know someone to call who can make sure that they work with us. We're very fortunate to have great relationships with that particular institution. Art, I have had the distinct pleasure of seeing the incredible work that you put into your building, and I understand why it's so important for you to want to preserve that particular part of Fort Worth, because you have put so much effort into bringing that house back to such a beautiful existence, and that block as well. I'm going to move to approve this particular zoning change because I do think that the work that Cook is bringing to our community, the assets, the resources are so important, and I do trust in this memorandum of understanding. It's worked since 2008, and I have no reason to believe that we're going to change course now.
Got a motion and a second, council. Out of an abundance of caution due to my employment with Cook Children's, I'll actually be abstaining from voting on this item. Any other discussion? Please vote. Motion carries.
Mayor, I believe that gets us back to the consent agenda.
Very well.
And I believe we have one item that we are going to pull from the consent, and that is MNC 24-0799. And we have no items that are being continued or withdrawn by staff. And so now we have consent agenda item speakers.
Is Bob Willoughby here? Followed by Chris Wood.
I just asked about this a little while ago, and I'm asking again, they don't answer. In between the early meeting a while ago, and I asked Carlos about this, in between everybody's out here talking one around, he wouldn't answer no questions then either. Okay, it's hard to believe that these people can get away with not answering questions. That's the premise of the job, and you're gonna be a mayor or council member, and you take an oath to serve the people. It's the premise. Now, what this is CCB funds that we give out. Anybody can get them. I know you can't read it up there, some of y'all can't read it, but the rules clearly say that anybody asking for more than $300,000 in a 3-year period would be disqualified. It says it right here on paper. But when you ask the board chair, Carlos, or the mayor of the city that's on the board, they don't answer. You know what that looks like? It looks like they're being crooked. That's what it looks like to me. When people don't answer questions like this and they run away, something's wrong. But you can't read this, but one of these coming up games, they got $1.6 million. That's way over $300,000. Even the 4 or 5 jumped in on this and got over $1 million too. I mean, I don't know what you're doing. And if you try to audit these people, find out what they're doing with it, you can't find out where. And he just said a while ago, he talked about, so he said transparency. What a lie, Carlos. You sat there and lied. You barefaced lied to people and me. I don't like it. I respect myself. You may not respect me, but I respect me, and I don't like being lied to as a citizen, and you're a liar.
Bob,
You
point
answer
of
these
order.
questions. Answer
Bob,
these
point of
questions.
order.
What's the matter now, Mayor?
You're just rude. It's.
Well, you're rude too because you don't answer questions.
No, we're
Look
done.
what you just did to us tonight.
Your time is expired.
Oh, okay. See how rude she is?
No. Our next speaker is Chris Wood, followed by Gerald Banks Sr. Is Chris here? No. Gerald Banks Sr. Mr. Reverend Key of Tatum.
Mayor and Council, my name is Key of Tatum, and I serve as the pastor of the New Mount Rose Missionary Baptist Church, as well as the president of the Ministers Justice Coalition, and a member of the 3E plan, which Councilwoman Bivens is very well aware of. 3 members of that 3E coalition lives within her district, and I was actually away in a different district. But I was invited in to be a part of that by Bishop George, the late Bishop George, and was very proud of the document we created. It was a living, breathing document that created opportunities for us to work together with dignity and respect, mutual respect towards each other. Under this police chief, which you have him making an appointment today, which I have no problem with the appointment, but I have serious concerns about the chief of police and his decision-making process. I've been working in criminal justice for 40 years. 18 years old, I went into criminal justice, and nowhere have I worked, whether it was James Byrd Jr. in Jasper or Tatiana Jefferson here in Fort Worth or any of the other cases around this state, have I ever seen where a civilian was in a hit-and-run accident, went after the person who was in the accident, pulled a gun out and tried to kill them, called the police as if nothing really happened. And this has been 15 days, and the chief has not said anything publicly, nor has that civilian been charged with attempted murder, nor has that civilian been terminated as a Fort Worth police officer. And it appears clearly to me, if it were you or I, every record would have been made publicly immediately because the public would have been concerned. But we are giving this chief, we are giving this police department the right to cover up a police officer's record who engaged in that behavior as a civilian and not as a police officer.
Reverend Tatum, the item on our agenda pertains to
talking about-
Reserve Officer, no, sir, Hector Melendez. I'm afraid, sir, that you're going to eat your words on this item. What I would suggest
If you
is
let
that
me
you,
finish.
no, we're going to be.
I'm talking about the chief.
No, I know you are.
So if
and it
you
doesn't-
allow me
no,
to
Your
finish-
time's expired. Thank you so much. Yes, sir. I did. You went too far. Yes, you did. Yes, sir. Out of respect, I'm going to ask you to sit down, and we're going to move to the next item. Thank you. No, no, sir, please, Kiev. No, we're done, Kiev. I've got to move to the next. David Martinez is our next speaker. Thank you very much. Yes, well, occasionally, yeah, that depends on the day. I need you to sit down, Kiev, please. There's a lot going on, and I think you are incredibly wrong about Chief Noakes. There's probably no one in this audience that agrees with you on this item. I would like to move on to the speakers. I don't want to remove you, Kiev. I really don't. I really just want to remove. But there's no reason to do that. This is a consent agenda. Every other Fort Worthian that speaks on their item has to stick to the consent agenda items. And you didn't talk about it at all. You talked about a completely different situation. I'm done. David Martinez is our next speaker. Then we're going to move to Adrian Smith. Thank you.
Hello.
Go ahead, sir.
Okay, what is the MNC that we're talking about now? Because I signed up for 4 of them.
You're speaking on all 4 of them.
I'm speaking all 4 at the same time?
Yes.
Okay, the one I wanted to speak on the most was the MNC 24-0807. That's going to be on the reduction of Cobb Park Fund. And they explained to me what was going on. They said because they didn't want to have to tear up the plumbing that they were going to put in with the money that they received, and they had only a certain amount of time to use it. I understand that. Sometimes you make decisions. You have to make decisions based on, what's the best thing to do. But at the same time, I want to acknowledge that, I was there when everybody was going for $51 million for the Gateway Park, and they were saying it was not getting enough funding. And so there was lots of complaints and people that showed up at the City Hall and at the meetings that were going on for District 11. But here is District 8, and we're reducing the funds for Cobb Park. I brought this up with the mayor last week also when I didn't get to speak, but I got to speak to her and tell her this was my concern. The city manager is leaving in February, and then so it's pay as we go. I don't know the next city manager what he plan on doing, but here's the thing: that pay as we go system means if we run out, the projects that are not started are not going to ever get started, and we're going to depend on the next city manager and funds that we don't have if we run out. So therefore, I want to say this: District 8 needs these improvements. It's based on the economic development that we're going to have on Rosedale and District 8. And if we don't go through with these processes and these developments, it's going to hurt the rest of the neighborhood and the rest of the district. And so I want everybody to be very to look at this. Does this look fair? The optics on this is bad. If I go around telling everybody go to these meetings, go to these surveys, and then we'll get stuff done, and then it doesn't happen, that's going to make people defeated. People are going to lose faith in the system. And so we have to start being like, it would be different if the city said, hey, we won't be able to do that, but guess what? We'll find some funds and we'll be able to do something better. That would work for me. But at the same time, like I want to see results, and this is one problem. I don't want us to get the dirty end of the stick every time. And I appreciate what Councilman Nettles doing and what we're trying to do with the master plan.
Thank you, David.
It
Our next speaker is actually Gerald Banks Sr. I think he walked in. There he is, followed by Adrian Smith.
Thank you for acknowledging that. Gerald Banks Sr., District 5, speaking on this MNC 24-0834, undecided at this point. Speaking from my standpoint and members of the community, William Martin is a Fort Worth cop that is considered to be armed and dangerous, extremely out of control.
Mr. Banks, I know how you feel, and I really appreciate your comments. It's just not the place to do it on the agenda. If we can just really pertain to the agenda item that's here in front of you. You've been an incredibly thoughtful speaker for years. I'm trying to be respectful. We just have a lot more of the agenda left to go. Can you speak on that agenda item, please, sir?
If you allow me to continue, that is in here. It's about the funding. okay?
So
To increase the funds is where I was headed.
pertaining to the marshal service?
Yes.
Okay.
To increase the funds that will help capture William Martin if he goes on the lam will be worth it. William Martin is a danger to our community, and anywhere you place
Mr. Banks,
him
I'm going to have to
in the
cut you
city of
off.
Fort Worth,
I really do appreciate, I see where you're going. It's very creative.
concerning the funds.
Yes, sir. Points made. I understand that. But this has to do with the U.S. Marshal Service, so I understand. Yeah. I appreciate that. This item, it doesn't really fit. I appreciate you. Thank you for coming. I'd like to thank you for staying. Our next speaker is Adrian Smith. Mr. Smith, your time is here.
Adrian Smith, District 6. I am one with the people. First, I would like to say thank you to the Neighborhood Services Department for reaching out to me prior to this meeting. We had a healthy discussion. I'm going to speak to MMC 24-0761. This is in relation to the CCPD funding that you all are about to allocate to the various mission partners. The district is governed by an 11-member board of directors and is responsible for establishing the annual budget, setting policies, overseeing and evaluating programs funded by the district. With this being the given bylaws for which the program operates, one would hope that recusal is implemented by board members whenever the need for doing so arises. The CCPD funding is taxpayer money and shouldn't be used as a means to enrich oneself through the guise of supporting crime prevention initiatives. The program policy should be reflective of their intended purposes, and there should be annual and semi-annual reports as it relates to the progress that's being made by emerging partners which have received funding. Accountability, transparency, and criticism will be amplified for any mission partners that haven't provided anything of substance of change as it relates to the efforts of crime reduction. Now I speak to the emerging partners. After school programs, the Fort Worth ISD, Crowley, Keller, White Settlement, Boys and Girls Club, Safe Haven Program, Victim Services, Alliance for Children, One Safe Place, Safe City Commission, Family Justice Center, Gang Prevention, Coming Up Gang, VIP Fort Worth, and the new mission partners who are due to receive funding on tonight, Campfire Texas, Guardianship Services, Incorporated United Community Centers, Incorporated Southside Hornets. And with the time that remains, I would hope that we could, with the program's grant allocation of $300,000, why can't there be an explanation as to why people are receiving beyond that? And as I take my seat, we shouldn't be accosted by anyone who runs these programs because we're asking questions and looking for transparency, like I was at the last public comments meeting by Mr. Rodney McIntosh. I know you all have him on speed dial. VIP, he accosted me out in the gallery. I'm sure you all don't care about it, but I want to just go on record so you all can know it.
That's the conclusion of our
Thank you.
consent agenda item Speakers Council. With that, I can entertain a motion. Motion and a second. Please vote. Motion carries.
Next will be item MNC 24-0799. And that's on page 8.
Thank you. Go ahead, Jared. Yes.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I pulled this off the agenda just to publicly thank the Llano Springs Homeowner Association for dedicating or donating the Llano Springs Park This will be a 22-acre addition to the city park system, and it'll provide a trail connection to Primrose Station, which was a development we approved a year ago that includes 40 acres of open space. That'll also include trails. For those of you who are watching, thank you. These trails will not only start at Llano Springs, but our goal over the next few years is for that to be connected to the Chisholm Trail Community Center. So thanks again, and I move to approve.
A motion, a second, please vote.
Mayor, we may need to.
Let's voice vote. All in
Yes.
favor, say aye. Aye. Any nays?
Aye.
Motion carries. I think now, are we moving to resolutions, correct, Jeanette? 24, 46,
We
60.
have at least ceremonial travel for
Oh,
council
yeah.
member.
Councilmember Crane?
Yeah, I'd like to move to request the city council approve ceremonial travel for the CFA FCL conference in Oklahoma City from September 4th through 27th.
Motion and a second, please vote. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any nays? Motion carries.
Next will be changes to board and commission appointments, with the first one, 24, 45, 63. Oh, sorry, non-consent speakers first. And Mayor, I think we have two.
Yep, Bob
Three.
Willoughby, Lloyd Cook, Adrian Smith. Is Lloyd here? Come on down, Lloyd. Then Adrian Smith. They're not a playground, Bob. Just come sit down. It's fine. Lloyd, please.
Thank you, Mayor.
Yes.
Evening, Mayor and Council. My name's Lloyd Cook. I'm the president of the Fort Worth Police Officers Association. Our address is 100 North Forest Park, Fort Worth, Texas, 76102. I come here before you tonight proudly representing the 1,700 men and women of the Fort Worth Police Officers Association. I'm thrilled to announce that the same group voted overwhelmingly to approve the proposed meet and confer agreement with the City of Fort Worth that will be effective October 1st, 2024 through September 30th, 2028, pending council approval. Our talented and dedicated board of directors and bargaining team have my utmost thanks for their tireless work over the last 10 months and were instrumental in reaching this historic agreement. I also want to sincerely thank Assistant City Manager William Johnson and his team for their diligent efforts to get us to this evening as well. A lot of metaphorical blood, sweat, and we understand your positions went into this mutually strong and beneficial agreement. This meet and confer contract represents the tenacious commitment of Fort Worth police officers to each other and to their sworn duty of protecting and serving the citizens of Fort Worth every day. It also represents the City of Fort Worth's significant commitment to public safety and to maintaining Fort Worth's position as one of the safest large cities in Texas and in the United States. The Fort Worth Police Officers Association looks forward to this meet and confer agreement in that it represents what is already an incredibly strong partnership between the leaders of Fort Worth and the officers that proudly and bravely serve its citizens every day. We look forward to your vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Lloyd. Our next speaker is Bob Willoughby, followed by Adrian Smith.
Okay, it's about the Police Association, so I should be able to put this up. Please get that up quick for me, if you would, please. Well, I'm going to show you what the Police Association, when I ran, they sent out leaflets saying I was not recommended to people. And look at here. Here's Carrie Moon, they backed, Gina Bibbins, Bessie Prize. They put hundreds of thousands of dollars to these candidates. You know where they should put the money at? In the local voter education, because that's what we need in this city. They don't need to be buying candidates. And when they put my name on a card and I got it in the mail and said I was not recommended and they never interviewed me or anything, that was dirty. This is a rotten organization, if you ask me. You see how our mayor got in there with the help of this police association once again. That's something. But we need people to put these people up here. Not the POA, not the firefighter, or the Star Telegram. Those three are undermining our elections big time in Fort Worth.
Bob, just as a reminder, we're not
Okay,
voting
yeah,
on
that's
POA, we're
POA.
voting on the meet and confer contract for police and the number of sworn
You
positions.
shouldn't have a contract with the police because, I mean, the association.
We don't have a contract. We're talking about the police.
See, they put Carrie Moon in, and see what happened to Carrie Moon? He became a drunk.
Hey, Bob,
Where's my
that's point of
picture?
order. There's no reason. Terry's not even on the council anymore. Anything else?
Come on, Bob.
Come on.
Get out of here.
It is pretty low. Even for you,
That's
that's
Bob.
pretty low. Lloyd Cook, it's done.
No,
Adrian Smith.
Bob. Bye-bye.
So I'm speaking to MMC 24-0851, the last item on the agenda for tonight. It is in reference to the meet and confer that took place between the city and the Fort Worth Police Department's POA. I had the privilege of attending some of these meetings, and the first thing that stood out to me was the contentious atmosphere that was in the room. You know, I don't think anyone likes bullies. But I always told myself, and I think anyone can agree with me, that if you are a bully, you eventually will get bullied. And this is what I feel about the POA as it relates to its relationship with the city. Now, when I think about the makeup of our city, this is how I envision it. The people first. The city council, the Fort Worth Police Department, and then you can include the POA because they are just a union. But the three that I mentioned before the POA, that's how I see my city. But what's really going on is it's the POA, the Fort Worth Police Department, the city council, and then the people. That's what's really going on. And I just want you all to be mindful and remember who put you all in those seats, because the POA didn't. Although some of you have received endorsements from them, others have been quote unquote chastised because of you have a difference of opinion on agenda items, which you have the right for doing so. But never once has the mayor denounced the POA for coming at her fellow council members. That is very disgusting, Mayor. This happens every 4 years. I will say to the POA, do a better job, because if it wasn't for the people of the city who make it possible for law enforcement to have employment, then you wouldn't have anyone to represent. So your bullying tactics, I get them. But know that they're not welcome in this city. Thank you.
Of our speakers on non-consent agenda items.
So our next action item is changes in boards and commissions, which is 24-4563, board appointments for District 2.
Councilmember Flores? Yeah, they're all grayed out for some reason.
Okay.
The mic's quit.
Oh, there we go. Okay, got it back. All right, Mayor and Council, request for consideration to appoint the following individual to the board below with a term effective September 17, 2024, and ending October 1st, 2026. Tony Perez, first term, Board of Adjustment for Commercial, and Fort Worth Alliance Board of Adjustment. And I also request for consideration to reappoint the following individual to the board below with a term effective September 17, 2024, ending in October 1st, 2026. Jackie Tomlinson III, second term, Pedestrian and Bicycling Advisory Commission. Their respective applications, resumes are attached. Original copies will be maintained in the city secretary's office.
Motion a second, please vote. Motion carries.
Next item is 24-4564, board appointments from District 10.
Councilmember Blaylock.
So I request your consideration to appoint the following individual with a term effective September 17th, 2024, and ending October 1st, 2026. Jana Dorn, to her first term on the Library Advisory Board. The respective application and resume are attached, and the original copy will be maintained in the City Secretary's office.
Got a motion and a second. Please vote. Motion carries.
Next item is 24-4634, at-large board appointments. Mayor, would you like me to read them?
I've got them right here, Jeanette. Thank you. We have two commissions. The first is appointments to the Fort Worth Art Commission. First is Jessica Fuentes, first term to position 6, Art Professional 2. The next is Lori Kindler, first term to position 4, Art Professional and Design. And reappointment to the Fort Worth Art Commission includes Maggie Adler, third term to position 2, Art Professional and Curator. Their respective applications or resume have been provided and attached. Original copies will be maintained by the City Secretary's office. Entertain a motion. Motion and a second, please vote. Thank you.
Next item is 24-4635, additional at-large appointment.
Thank you. And this is a reappointment proposed to begin September 17th, 2024 and expire October 1st, 2026. The reappointment to Mr. Tony Pham, third term, place 7, DDRB, or Downtown Design Review Board. The respective application is attached. An original copy will be maintained by the City Secretary's office. Motion and a second, please vote. Motion carries.
Next item is Resolution 24-4636.
I see our friends from Dallas-Fort Worth International Airport. We appreciate you sticking with us. We like late nights instead of early mornings, so I apologize for changing your clocks today. With that, I can entertain a motion, Council. Motion and a second. Please vote. I think Michael's a yes, yeah. Motion carries. Thank you, DFW.
Next item is 24-4629.
Motion and a second, please vote. Motion carries.
Next item is 24-4559.
Motion and a second. Thank you, Jessica, for serving on the Fort Worth Community Land Trust. Please vote. Michael's a yes. Thank you. Motion carries.
Next item is 24-4609.
Motion and a second. Please vote. Motion carries.
Next item is 24-4637.
Thank you, Alan. Please vote. For those that don't know the inside joke, Councilmember Blaylock has been a wonderful representative for us on the Tarrant Air Appraisal District Board of Directors. Yes, we appreciate him. Motion carries.
The next items, MNC 24-0770 through 24-0779 will be taken together as one presentation and vote with report by City Staff Lacey Ruiz.
Hi, Lacey.
I almost said good morning, I'm sorry. Good
I know.
afternoon. Mayor Parker and members of City Council, my name is Lacey Ruiz, and I serve as the PID Administrator for the Economic Development Department. The purpose of the public hearing is to receive comments from the public regarding the city's public improvement district's recommended budgets and assessments to be levied, approve the recommended budgets, and authorize execution of management agreements for each operating PID. The recommended budgets for each PID are included in your packet. Both the advertisement and the notification letters were completed in compliance with the requirements of the Texas Local Government Code 372, public improvement districts. Recommended assessment rates for all PIDs are per $100 of property value. So PID 1 downtown is 13 cents with a total cost of improvements and services of $2,320,056. PID 6 Park Glen is 15.5 cents for residential, 3.5 cents for commercial, with a total cost of improvements and services of $2,320,056. PID 7 Heritage is 14.5 cents for residential, 11 cents for commercial, with a total cost of improvements and services of $2,142,508. PID 11 Stockyards is 12 cents with a total cost of improvements and services with $444,145. PID 12 Chapel Hill is 14 cents with a total cost of the improvements and services of $421,111. PID 14 Trinity Bluff is 10 cents with a total cost of improvements and services of $123,738. PID 15 Sun Valley is 24 cents with a total cost of improvements and services of $167,346. PID 19 Historic Camp Bowie is 10 cents with a total cost of improvements and services of $490,760. PID 20 East Lancaster Avenue is 26.6 cents with a total cost of improvements and services of $349,293. PID 21 Las Vegas Trail is 10 cents with a total cost of improvements and services of $400,879. Following receipt of public comments, staff recommends closing the public hearing and approving MNCs 24-0770 through 24-0779, which 1, will adopt the ordinances approving the final plans of services, budgets, assessment rolls, and special assessments and provide the city secretary file with the same in real property records. 2, approve the management agreements, and 3, adopt the appropriation ordinances. Representatives from all the PIDs are here if you have any questions.
Thank you, Lacey. We appreciate you. Any questions from council? Councilmember Beck.
No. Okay. So I move to close the public benefit hearings and approve MNCs 24-0770 through 24-0779, adopting ordinance approving the final plans of service, budgets, assessment rolls, and special assessments, and providing the city secretary file the same in the real property records, approving the management agreements, and adopting the appropriation ordinance.
Got a motion and a second, council? Please vote. Motion carries.
Next item is MNC 24-0780.
Thank you. I think we have a report by city staff. Lacey is back up.
So the purpose of this benefit hearing is to receive comment for the public, from the public regarding the city's tourism public improvement district's recommended budget, plan of service, assessment roll, and assessment to be levied. The recommended budget for the tourism PID is included in your packet. Both the advertisement and the notification letters were completed in compliance with the requirements of Texas Local Government Code, Chapter 372, Public Improvement District. The recommended assessment for the tourism PID is from the owners or operators of the tourism PID hotels with 100 more or rooms, paying a special assessment at a rate of 2% of revenues received from the hotel room occupancy. The total cost of improvements and services is $7.4 million. Following receipt of public comment, staff recommends closing the public hearing and approving MNC 24-0780, adopting ordinances approving the final plan of service, budget, assessment roll, and a special assessment, and providing that the city secretary file the same in real property records. And Bob is here if you have any questions.
Thank you, Lacey. Thank you, Bob. Mr. Jameson, would you like to say anything? Okay, very well. Yeah. Thank you, Bob. We appreciate you very much. Council, any other discussion? Councilmember Flores.
Thank you, Mayor. This motion for the tourism PID. I move to close the public hearing and approve MNC 24-0780. First, adopting ordinance approving the fiscal year 2024 through 2025 budget, service, and assessment plans, and assessment roll. 2, levying special assessments for fiscal year 2024 through 2025. And third, adopting the appropriation ordinance.
Thank you, Carlos. Motion and a second. Thank you very much. Motion and a second. Please vote. Motion carries.
Next item is MNC 24-0888, the staff report by Lori Gordon.
It is. Wonderful. Thank you. Okay. Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm Lori Gordon, Planning Manager with the Park and Recreation Department. The purpose of this public hearing is for public comment on the proposed use of a portion of Meadowbrook Golf Course for a permanent maintenance area to service sanitary sewer lines. The Meadowbrook Golf Course is located in Council District 11. In accordance with Chapter 26 of the Texas Parks and Wildlife Code, the City Council must find that no feasible or prudent alternative exists for the location of the proposed improvements and find that the proposed locations include all reasonable planning to minimize the effects on the park. This is an outline of what's going on in the park. So anyway, the change of the park use includes creating a permanent maintenance area for the sanitary sewer lines that are going through Meadowbrook Golf Course with variable widths. And it constitutes approximately 0.1260 acres. Construction is anticipated to begin in September of this year and last approximately 3 months. The golf course is closed currently for renovations during the construction period. No trees are impacted with the project. In accordance with state law, the proposed parkland change use was advertised with the City of Fort Worth Star-Telegram on August 27th, September 3rd, and 10th of 2024. Information announcing the proposed use of parkland was posted on the city's webpage, at the project site, and sent via email to the registered neighborhood associations within 1.5 miles of the golf course. As of this date, city staff has received no public inquiries on the proposed use as a result of these postings. And on August 28th of 2024, the Park and Recreation Advisory Board endorsed staff's recommendation to the City Council to authorize the use of a portion of Meadowbrook Golf Course for a permanent maintenance area. Staff recommends hearing any additional public comment. Upon completion of the public comment, staff recommends that City Council close the public hearing and act on the MNC. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. I move to close the public hearing and approve MNC 240800.
Motion a second, please vote. Motion carries.
Next item is MNC 24-0821, with report by City Staff Derek Hall.
Good evening, Mayor Parker, members of council. I'm called Planning Manager for Development Services Department. Just pulling up the slides real quick. So the first item for consideration for annexation is AX-24-004, Crowley Middle School, number 5. This is a owner-initiated annexation in Future Council District 6. As a means of providing an annexation project summary, the applicant is Crowley ISD and Encore. This is a owner-initiated annexation. Tonight represents the first public hearing. This is a request for public hearing, also consideration for a municipal service agreement and annexation of 61.75 acres in the Future Council District 6. This current use or the proposed use is a middle school located in Tarrant County, and it does comply with Texas Local Government Code Section 43.0672. As it relates to a regional context map, the general location is south of Rancho Verde Parkway and west of Claiborne Road. This is located in the far southwest planning sector, and again, it is located in Future Council District 6. As it relates to the annexation data and zoning information, the site is, a portion of the site, the main portion for the school is 55.65 acres. The current zoning, it's actually gone through a request for rezoning for community facilities, which covers the majority of the project site. Just to the north of the project site, there is a transmission lines corridor, which will remain as agriculture zoning designation. This particular annexation is consistent with the urban development annexation. There is a designation of enclave for this particular location, and again, there is a related zoning case CZC-24-078, and this was approved by the zoning commission, and this will be heard later on tonight for council's consideration. As it relates to the comprehensive plan recommendations, the proposed use for a school is consistent. The future land use is institutional. The general policies that comply indicate that local elementary schools within walking distances to residences promote walkability, bikeability, and transit connection, and then work with school districts to identify suitable sites for future school development that make efficient use of existing infrastructure. As it relates to the fiscal impact, this particular annexation represents a long-term negative impact, but that's because of the school, there is no generation of sales tax. As it relates to municipal services, there will be a requirement for municipal services without any particular negative impacts. So finally, staff is requesting to council to conduct a public hearing for the proposed owner-initiated annexation of approximately 61.75 acres of land in Tarrant County, to authorize execution of the municipal service agreement between the City of Fort Worth and the property owners, Crowley Independent School District and Encore, and adopt ordinance annexing AX-24-004 for full purpose. This concludes staff's presentation, and the applicant is here for any questions.
Thank you. Any questions, council? No? Councilmember Williams.
Thank you. No questions, and I move to close the public hearing and act on M&C.
Second. Motion a second, please vote. Motion carries.
Next will be the companion zoning item, which is ZC-24-078.
Councilmember Williams, we have one speaker, but only if there's opposition.
Great. I just want to say thanks to Crowley ISD for engaging the neighborhood. This is another a huge benefit to Panther Heights, Crowley ISD, and the district, so I move to approve.
Second. Motion and a second, please vote. Motion carries.
Next is MNC 24-0823 with report by Derek Hall.
Mayor and council, this is the next annexation for tonight. This is an annexation for Quick Trip 1882. This is an owner-initiated annexation in future council District 6. As it relates to the project summary, this is, again, an owner-initiated annexation. This public hearing tonight represents the first public hearing, and the request is to hold a public hearing to consider a municipal service agreement and execution or adoption of annexation of 2.7 acres, also known as Quick Trip. It includes not only the location of the actual gas station, but also some additional right-of-way for the particular area. The jurisdiction is located in Tarrant County. It does comply with state law, Texas Local Government Code, Section 43.0672, and there is a CCN status that it will comply with as well. As it relates to regional context, the map shows the location is in the far north planning sector. This particular location is west of Crowley Road and along the southern edge of Ricing Road. The illustrations show the specific location of the proposed Quick Trip with the accompanying right-of-way area. The zoning data includes 2.6 acres, which is currently zoned industrial. The proposed zoning is neighborhood commercial. The status of the land currently is some various uses. This does comply with the city's annexation policy, urban development annexation. A portion of it does include an enclave. There is a related zoning change case, which is zoning case ZC 24-072. And it was approved for neighborhood commercial zoning district and by the zoning commission, and it will be on the agenda tonight for council's consideration. As it relates to the comprehensive plan recommendations, the land use consistency is consistent. The future land use proposes light industrial. This type of use of a gas station is complementary to that land use designation. It aligns with the district's objectives to support a mix of light industrial activities, which often require ancillary commercial services such as fueling stations. As it relates to the fiscal impact, $2.6 million negative impact over 4 years. This is related to long-term maintenance and reconstruction of the roadway and then services that will be rendered by the police department. Long-term financial stability poses a potential concern as outlined in the Fort Worth Lab's financial impact analysis. As it relates to council's action, we're asking to conduct a public hearing for the proposed owner-initiated annexation of approximately 2.6 acres of land in Tarrant County, to authorize execution of the municipal service agreement between the city of Fort Worth and the property owners, and to adopt ordinance AX-24-005 for full purpose annexation. This concludes staff's presentation, and the applicant is here for any questions.
Any questions, council? Councilmember Williams?
Thank you. I don't have any questions on this. I have comments on the zoning, but I've moved to close the public hearing and act on MNC to approve.
Motion and a second, please vote. Motion carries.
Next will be the companion zoning case, ZC-24-072.
Councilmember Williams?
Thank you, Mayor. Just to the applicant, thanks for engaging our office in the neighborhood. I spoke with staff about my concerns that I expressed with you. I think QT is a great business. I think this site's a perfect location for it. I have concerns about the left cross traffic, both out of the site and also into the site. So Ty Thompson from Development Service will work with you on that to make sure that we do that safely. This is a very busy road. Risinger, we still need to figure out how to finish the improvements on the last segment of that. I mean, I don't want to add to traffic problems. And also, more importantly, I don't want folks to lose their lives trying to make that turn into QT or out of it. So work with Ty Thompson, and I move to approve.
Motion carries.
Next is MNC 24-0825 with report by Derek Hull.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. This is an annexation 24-007, LDS New Granger. This is an owner-initiated annexation and future council District 10. As it relates to the project summary, the owner is the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. They're represented by Bowman Consulting Group, and they are here tonight. The type of application is an owner-initiated annexation. This is the first public hearing for this particular annexation. The request from the applicant is to hold a public hearing and to consider a municipal service agreement and the adoption of the annexation for 5.95 acres. The current use is a church. The jurisdiction is located in Denton County, and it does comply with the Texas Local Government Code, Section 43.0672. This is located in future Council District 10. As it relates to the contextual map, the project location is west of Blue Mound Road and south of Texan Drive. It's located in the far north planning sector, and it's located directly south of Northwest High School. The zoning information is broken into two parts. The first area of the church represents 4 acres. There's currently no zoning for that location. The proposed zoning with an accompanying zoning case is recommended for community facilities. The remaining area of the project site, which is 1.9 acres, has no zoning, and it is an area that's designated for right-of-way, adjacent right-of-way. The project in and of itself is consistent with the urban development annexation. There is a designation for an enclave as it relates to the annexation. And as was previously mentioned, the related zoning case is ZC-24-008. This was approved by the Zoning Commission to change the zoning to community facilities on September 11th, 2024. The comprehensive plan recommends that the current land use, which is general commercial, is not consistent with the use of a church. Therefore, Fort Worth Lab has recommended that there be a future land use change to institutional use. The accompanying comprehensive plan policies that are consistent with this type of use encourage locating large commercial and institutional uses adjacent to arterial streets, preferably at the intersections of other arterials and highways. Also, to promote fiscally responsible and sustainable growth on the peripheral of the city. The slide here shows the actual the annexation aerials and the street view. Notice that the image to the left highlights the location just south of Northwest High School and directly west of Blue Mound Road. The image to the right shows the actual location of the church from Blue Mound Road. Fort Worth Lab has conducted a fiscal impact analysis. There is long-term negative impact, generally speaking, because this is a church and there are no property taxes that are generated. There will be requirements for municipal services, and those particular services are expected to not have any negative impacts. Therefore, staff is asking to conduct a public hearing for the proposed owner-initiated annexation for approximately 4.09 acres of land in Denton County for the continued use as a church known as LDS New Granger, and approximately 1.9 acres of adjacent right-of-way located west of Blue Mound Road and south of Texan Drive. Also to adopt ordinance AX-24-007 for full purpose annexation and authorize the execution of a municipal service agreement between the city of Fort Worth and the property owners, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. This concludes staff's presentation, and the applicant is here for any questions.
If not, we can entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
I'm
Motion a
sorry,
second.
to close the public hearing and act on the M&C.
Second. Thank you. Motion a second, please vote. Motion carries.
Next will be the companion zoning case, which is ZC-24-008 or 088.
Councilmember Blaylock. Thank you. Motion is second, please vote. Motion carries.
Next is MNC 24-0827 with report by Derek Hall.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. This is the last of the 4 new annexation cases for tonight.
Let's speed date, shall we, Derek? You know how to speed date? Ready, set, go. Sorry to make
Yes.
you giggle.
Ventana West. I think you will like this annexation. This is owner-initiated and located in Future Council District 3. By way of background information, the owner of this particular annexation of the land is TRT Land Investors LLC and PMBville Land Investors 1 GP LLC. This is an owner-initiated annexation. This is the first public hearing, and the applicant is requesting to hold a public hearing to consider a municipal service agreement and adoption of the annexation of 261.17 acres. This is a full-purpose annexation. The proposed use is a single-family new subdivision, residential subdivision, located in Tarrant County. It does comply with Texas Local Government Code Section 43.0672, and this particular annexation has an associated development agreement that was approved by City Council December 13th, 2022. Its reference number is City Secretary Contract Number 59003. As it relates to a regional context map, the general location is south of Aledo Road and northwest of Benbrook Highway. It's located in the far southwest planning sector. Just immediately adjacent to the east is an existing new subdivision, part of the Ventana Development Project, as is illustrated on these slides. As it relates to the zoning, 261.17 acres currently is not zoned. The proposed zoning that has gone to the Zoning Commission and CPC for additional consideration is PD for planned development, A5, for one family, and R2 for townhome and cluster zoning districts. The status of the land is currently vacant, but again, adjacent to an existing subdivision. It is consistent with the city's annexation policy. The designation is urban development. And again, there is a companion zoning case, ZC-24-01071. The decision by the CPC was 8/14/24, and then shortly thereafter, Zoning Commission offered an approval of the change of zone. The comprehensive plan recommendations right now, based upon the existing land use, which is mixed use, institutional, and commercial, is inconsistent with the proposed use, which is to be all single-family residential. Therefore, Fort Worth Lab has recommended that the city consider updating the future land use to ensure that the land use map is consistent with what is being proposed for the new subdivision. The next slide show aerial photographs. The image to the left shows the actual site where the project is being proposed. The image to the right shows the existing subdivision that was recently built and the location of where, once it is constructed, the single-family subdivision will connect to the subdivision to the east. As it relates to the fiscal impact, the Fort Worth Lab has indicated that this particular annexation will be a long-term positive impact. Generally speaking, from the generation of property taxes. So annually, after the proposed 2-year build-out of the first set of houses, it'll be approximately $3.7 million. Over the course of the next 5 years after build-out, the city will have a cumulative net for approximately $7.5 million.
Move to close the public hearing and act on the M&C.
Here you go.
Did I get a second there? Let's go.
Motion second. Yeah.
Thank you, Derek. Appreciate
Motion
it.
carries. Thank you.
Move to approve.
Motion carries.
Next is the zoning case ZC 24-071.
Motion a second, please vote. Motion carries.
Thanks,
Next
Taylor,
is-
for sticking it out there.
Next is MNC 24-0820.
Councilmember Nettles. Second, please vote. We do. Motion carries.
Next is 24, or MNC 24-0818.
Member Blaylock. Motion is second, please vote. You are so loud.
Okay, that gets us to page 25, MNC 24-0843.
Here we go. Motion is second, please vote. Council. Chris, we are very excited about this, so don't let our speed dictate our lack of excitement, okay? Motion carries.
Next is, can I read the number first?
24-0849. Yeah, thank you, Jeanette. I've got a motion and a second. Please vote. Motion carries.
Next is 24-0850.
Second, please vote. Michael's a yes. Motion carries.
Next is MNC 24-0798.
Councilmember Blaylock. Motion and a second, please vote. Motion carries.
Next is MNC 24-0806.
Councilmember Nettles. Motion and a second, please vote. Motion carries.
Next is MNC 24-0786.
Councilmember Flores.
Move to approve.
Motion is second, please vote. Motion carries.
Next is MNC 24-0844.
Motion and a second, please vote. Motion carries.
Next is MNC 24-0845.
Councilmember Beck. Thank you. Motion and a second, please vote. Motion carries.
Next is MNC 24-0851.
Motion and a second, please vote. And motion carries. Council, that's the conclusion of our agenda, and meeting is adjourned.